Good evening and welcome to Call to Arms, and thank you for answering the call. We are live at 9:39, so apologies if there was any confusion there. It became a bit of a meme, so we just decided to embrace it basically and go from there. So if you know, you know. So welcome. This is a very very special show. I'm very excited for this one because we're going to be reviewing, kind of previewing almost, a very very special tournament this coming up this weekend in Glasgow, and I have with me one of Glasgow's own, Broken Realms. We are joined by Mr. Kyle Stark. How are we?
I'm good, I'm good. How are we doing this evening?
I'm doing awesome, man. Very, very excited to have you on board. For those of you who don't know, we are going to be attempting to have Call to Arms' first ever live tournament coverage this weekend at Broken Realms GT4.
Full
And
of
Kyle,
hiccups this weekend.
yeah, got hiccups, but we sort it, managed to sort it. Yeah, Kyle is very, just nicely said that he will join me, and we'll do some commentating on some live games, which will be awesome. But yeah, so tell us a bit about yourself, Kyle. We kind of, I think most people will know you from Broken Realms. We know you're one of the club, but tell us a bit about yourself and how you kind of got into the hobby.
I got into the hobby. Oh gosh, right, it took years ago now. So obviously, I think everyone got into the hobby kind of either through family or through friends. Pretty much growing up, they always saw the cool models in the Games Workshop store. I got into it actually through the 40k side of things. Going on 15 years ago now, I think it was. My uncle got me into it. He had the old pewter high elf models and everything that
Oh,
he had
beautiful.
growing up, which were lovely. And he also still had, my gran kept the collection of the lovely toxic paints that we used to have. So I
Get
kind of
the
got
old.
into it through that side of things, fantasy side. Yeah, lick the brush, kind of. Oh, why am I not feeling too good? So got into it kind of that way. Took a wee break. I think as everybody does when they go out discover life, and then when you get real money, you're like, let's get rid of it, and you and you get back into the hobby, kind of that side of things. So when I moved to Dundee for university about 7 years ago, got back into it that side, got back into the AOS scene after 40k kind of started to go a bit downhill for myself personally.
Mhm.
Really picked it up massively once I got into Glasgow and saw how huge it was in Glasgow. Kind of got into the Broken Realm side of things about 2 years ago now, helping Matt and everything since then. Helping, especially the past couple of months, he's been so busy organising Broken Realms and everything, bless him. So we've been really
Yeah.
big on organising that. I'm a Slanesh main. Everybody knows me as basically I am Slanesh. I love everything about it, everything about it. All the depravity, in and outside of the game. So that's kind of what I'm all about. So it's what I know the best. But don't worry, I do have some good coverage for everyone else. I'm not just like, oh, there's a Slanesh player in Broken Realms. Let's focus on that. Don't worry about that.
No, that's good, and we all know that you've got a good wealth of knowledge, I think, of the game, which is good. You know your rules, you know your stuff. So again, that was why I was very very happy to have you on board
Yeah,
for
good
both
couple
the
of tournaments
show
under my belt
and
this year.
yeah for the live streaming. So yeah, cool. So I can already see that chat is absolutely blowing up. So before we get any further, let's have a wee look. So we've had JJ, Mike, Rafa, we've got Mr. John B, we've got Reese, we've got Curtis. Who else? We've got Cara, hello. We've got Jerry McHugh, how we doing? We've got loads of people, Richard McQuarrie, of course. We've got Nathan, fantastic. We've got hundreds of folks. We've got Scott. Oh, brilliant, awesome. So there's loads of people in chat. So thanks so much for joining in, guys, and for taking part. We do like a bit of chat interaction. So please, any questions? Please put that into chat as well. We have also been given some questions from the community that we're going to be going over tonight as well, which is really nice. As well as we are going to be diving into some lists that's going to be coming to the tournament at the weekend. We're also going to be giving out some essential information about the tournament. So we're going to be showing you all the goodies that's up for grabs. We're going to be showing you the kind of the breakdown of all the factions that are going to be coming as well as also telling you the 5 battle plans that we're going to be playing across the 5 games. So lot of exciting stuff. So yeah, looking forward to it. Before we go any further, I just want to thank the sponsors of the channel. So we've got Accent Gaming Dunfermline, we've got Pro Painted Studios, and we have Minimag Tray as well, giving lots of goodies for the monthly giveaway. So thank you so much for that as well. And yeah, please make sure to check those guys out. So without further ado, Kyle, are we ready to dive into this?
I think we are.
Let's do this. I'm so excited to show that. I spent ages in this presentation, guys. So please, please be gentle with me. So here we go. So we're going to be reviewing Broken Realms and Minis for War, GT number 4. Okay, so this is the fourth one that's been run. We obviously have to give a massive shout out to Matt. For those of you who don't know, Matt is a huge driving force for the community in Glasgow. So as you said, he's been absolutely rushed off his feet the past few months trying to organise Broken Realms. He also, early in the year in April, for Broken Realms GT number 3, he also organised the biggest tournament, Age of Sigmar tournament in Scotland, 72 players. Which was absolutely fantastic. It was awesome to be a part of, and for this one basically to go again, we're like, well, how are we gonna top April basically, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at for this time. But there's loads of really cool stuff that Matt's been able to organise and get. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. So big shout out to him. For those of you as well that can see on the YouTubes, I've had a bit of fun with some selected kind of images from the tournament, from past tournaments as well. You can see I've got Mr. John Bayliss playing a very kind of trim looking Callum Sinker, actually Sinky, looking good there in his Norway top, and clearly John's telling him some basic rules like, you move 6 inches. If you want to run, you can add a d6 to that as well, mate. Like, you know, you're probably a few games in, so that's awesome. We've also got on the very far right hand side, it looks like Jacob has done something very bad to Scott Smith as well, which is awesome to see. I do remember talking about that game, something about failing a massive charge or something like that, but he seems to be very happy. And then right in the middle, we've got Matt, that is the man of the hour, and also Rhys Fraser, who actually took out the tournament back in April, and he won himself a golden ticket. Yeah, he's the reigning champ. He's coming back with his big belt. I don't know wrestling very well, Kyle. You'll have to help here, but he some sort of massive belt, and you have to challenge him, and you have to take it off him. I guess that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be SmackDown versus Raw. This is our WrestleMania. Broken Realms is the WrestleMania of Age of Sigmar in Scotland. Basically, all the big players come, smash hell out of each other. And not surprisingly, Rhys smashes the hell out of everybody else.
Yes.
It's going to be really interesting just to time his games, just to see if he even breaks half an hour before he cracks open his first game.
Good lord, yeah. Rhys, he's very well known for playing Speedhammer. He will quite easily get 3 games in the time it takes for maybe one person to get 1 or 2 games in. So he'll be, if he's not done, you know, within an hour, he gets very upset, very grumpy. He just wants to be done. He wants to mill about. He wants to crack open a few cans, crack open a few bottles of rum. He wants to socialise, and then, you know, just carry on staring at Lariel. You know,
he gets better when he's drunk. That's the scary part.
For sure. I don't know how he does it, but yeah, so super excited. So just a bit of a kind of a history there with the last kind of GT. We've got this GT, so it's this weekend coming up, the 9th and 10th, and also, yeah, shout out to the Campanile Hotel in Glasgow as well. This is where all the Broken Realms tournaments take place. It's also where the club, because you have Broken Realms Club, this is where the tournament
every single weekend.
Yep, every weekend, which is awesome. I've been to quite a few, and yeah, really good setup there. Matt's and yourself, your boys have done really well there as well. So it's really nice just to kind of put that out there and get some reps. So yeah. We also do have to shout out Minis for War, don't we, as well? So this is the big sponsor of the tournament, and they sponsor every Broken Realms tournament that's happened so far. Commission painting company out of Poland, and they do some amazing stuff, which we'll also kind of dive into as well, because part of the prizes is they will also do some commission painting for the winners as well, which is really cool. Rhys got his Alariel done by Minis for War. It looks tremendous, so just really cool stuff, so give them a big shout out as well. So without further ado, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about some trophies and some prizes that's on offer for this weekend. So these have not been shown yet, I believe Matt has given me the honour of showing off the trophies that's going to be. So I'm just going to leave that on screen for a wee minute there, just so you can feast your eyes. Some amazing busts that have been painted, kind of like put onto a plaque. So we've got first place, second place, third place, and we've also got best painted as well, which honestly, that best painted one looks amazing. I love that.
Absolutely,
that demon
smashed themselves out of the park with the
cool.
trophies this year. They are tremendous.
So cool.
So whoever does end up taking those away from home, those are pride of place, I think, on your shelf.
For sure, absolutely. Really nice also to see a third place. A lot of the time you don't see that.
I'm actually a big fan of that. Yeah, we had that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was at Tempest, but I think it might have been at Onslaught. I think might have done third place. Big fan of that. You know, it takes a lot, especially with how tight the meta is up in Scotland at the moment. A couple of points in between games, so you know, to put in all that effort and then to realise there's nothing between first, second, and the wooden spoon, or sometimes mid-table master. It's nice to get the recognition, I think. So I'm a big fan of first, second, third.
No, for sure. Really like it. And yeah, the trophies look tremendous. We also have some additional prizes as well. So Matt has also been able to get his hands on some Start Collecting boxes that he can also dish out as prizes as well. We've also got some really cool storage boxes as well. What are these things called again?
Oh gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, they're really useful, kind of like magnetic types, but storage to help store and transport your minis.
Safe and sound boxes. So yeah, they're the special ones that are magnetized boxes to transport the minis. So really cool. There's nothing worse than having to haul your minis to tournaments. So magnetizing looks like definitely been on point for me anyway. I love magnetizing stuff. So some boxes to help with that's awesome. We've got some range rulers as well, some range gauges also, and then not to mention the fact that first, second, and third place will also get a value of model.
Yes.
Painted, commission painted by Minis for War. So you've got your first place, which gets £100, so up to £100 kind of RRP model. They will commission paint that for you, send it over to you for absolutely nothing. So tremendous. And then for second place, I believe, is that £50?
I believe so, yes. And then I think it's
I think 30. I think 30 for the third place as well.
Yes.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I mean, I've even seen second and third from last year. I know Nathan won. I think he got the £30 one. And yeah, just even like just getting one of these like a £30 model.
An Arch Revenant, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. That gorgeous. The last time they did those, the level of detail and attention to the model itself that they give, even if it's just a small model, it's still going to be the centerpiece of your army going forward. And from what we've seen with this particular GHB, doesn't have to be a huge model to be the best thing in your army.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, quite a few folk in the chat are saying that the trophies look quite death themed, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so I know the third place definitely looks like some sort of like a White King. I was thinking more like just kind of quite dark in general. Like the first place looks like a kind of a dark elf kind of fairy almost.
Vampiric fairy.
The one in the middle, honestly, don't see it. Almost looks like a kind of like a Arch Revenant type thing. So yeah, maybe could have kind of gone more death, which is awesome to see.
Don't worry, we're not preemptively saying Soulblight's going to win all 4 trophies, so don't worry.
Yeah, and there is a lot of death. There definitely is right now, not just at Broken Realms, but also just in the meta in general, especially up in the Scottish meta. It was death that took out Tempest, which is the most recent kind of bigger tournament we've had up here. It was Mr. Scott Smith that hosted that one. So yeah, could potentially be like maybe telling the future is what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so some awesome trophies and prizes there. We'll then move on. We're going to talk about some swag. So this is the stuff that you just get just for turning up, which you love to see at tournaments. A lot of places will do maybe dice, like custom dice with the logo on. Maybe they'll do like little combat gauges, what have you. I really like what Matt's done this year because I can generally see me get a lot of use out of these things. So he's went and got himself, and I believe it was, I do believe that's Pro Painted Studios.
It is, yes.
Oh, perfect. And he, which obviously Matt, awesome. I love Matt. He gives me loads of stuff as well, which is he's just a really good guy for the community, makes some really good high quality stuff. And he has made these battle tactic trackers, which look awesome. There's nothing worse than having to leaf through your GHB to figure out what battle tactic in the book am I going to do. So you've just got these 8 battle tactics ready to go, magnetised. You stick them on, you know what you've done. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. So really cool. So every single person's getting one of those. I think Matt did show off the big box that arrived as well, opening that up, which is really cool. He's also made these really cool looking, I love it looking at, iridescent stickers. So he's got Broken Realm stickers, big chunky boys. Obviously you can stick onto your storage boxes, you can put onto your notebooks, you can stick onto whatever you fancy, you can put them on and you'll get a nice Broken Realms logo. And then also we've got even more, we've got 15% off vouchers from Pour Painted Studios as well, and you can, when you're using buying stuff online from at Pour Painted Studios, you can use the 15% off code from the event as well, which is so cool. And
they do really good. They could do really good tokens and everything for if obviously the little ones that we get with Games Workshop, the little cardboard ones for Arcane Bolt and things like that. Those they can get soggy, they can get damaged. The plastic ones that Pro Painted Studios do are actually really good, and 15% off gets you a really good value. I think, especially even just knocking off the price of delivery and everything else like that.
Yeah.
So it's always worth a look.
Absolutely, and yeah, the stuff it's glam. It's very luxe. So if you're looking for some cool little game aids helpers, then I would definitely look them up. So I think that's us. I think that's the swag. So without further ado, we're gonna, I think,
get into
now
the meat of it.
Start getting into the meat and potatoes of this thing. So we've got some stats. Love some stats. I made a pie chart and everything. It's just so pleasing to the eye. So we're going to break down all the factions that are coming to Broken Realms. We have got a further breakdown of the sub-factions of the factions as well, just so you know exactly what to expect. And then we have kind of custom picked, tailor picked 16 different lists that we'll be going through. We figured that's pretty good. That's 4 from each kind of grand alliance, if you will: death, order, destruction, chaos. So I think that'll probably be enough to go through in one night for just the two of us. Can't go through every list, unfortunately, 62 lists. But yeah, so we're just going to go through that.
A couple of honourable mentions in there as well for those that we thought were interesting, or especially because there's a couple of those that we saw in there that we were like, right, why are you taking that? Some really kind of interesting ones as well. We're not just going to go over, don't worry guys, it's not just going to be these guys are going to completely stomp Broken Realms. So there's a lot of that we chose between there that's going to be really interesting, kind of mix it up a little bit for you guys to keep you guys interested. It's not just going to be, here's 8 Legion of Blood. These are going to stomp on everyone, so don't worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah, so basically, guys, don't worry if your list hasn't made the cut. It's mainly just because we were really bored, probably, by them. I just didn't want to put them in at all. I'm only joking. Right, so let's let's talk about some stats. Right, so probably doesn't really shock anyone. We've got 2 kind of big factions that are dominating the numbers at the top. So we have 8 Soulblight Gravelords and we have 8 Seraphon. So those are the kind of the biggest of the kind of the highest numbers of the factions that we've got there. In terms of the Soulblight, just to give you a little sub-faction breakdown, we've got 4 Legion of Blood, we've got 1 Verkos, which is very nice to see, and then we have 3 Legion of Night. So yeah, kind of a decent mix with almost a 50-50 if it wasn't for that little Verkos one coming in. So we've got that. Obviously very popular right now, probably one of, if not the strongest army in the game, doing really well just all over tournaments. Just we'll go into that in a bit more detail because we do have 1 or 2 Soulblight lists that we're going to be looking at. In terms of Seraphon, the lizards, also doing very well.
Half and half with them as well, which was nice.
Yep, 50-50 split. We've got 4 Kotal's Claw, we've got 4 Fangs of Sotex, we've got we've got some Coalesce bros, and we've got some Starborn bros, so that's really cool to see as well, a nice mix. Then I kind of lumped a lot of things into Auric Warclans. Now I know, don't get angry at me, I know that Auric Warclans is just the book, then you've got separate factions inside the book as well. But yeah, so I kind of lumped them together just because it was going to make my pie chart just way too big. Too big a pie. Too big a pie, Kyle.
No such thing.
So we've got 3 Crowboys. We've got 3 Bigwa. Love to see some Bigwa. And we've got 1 Iron Jaws. The Iron
You
Jaws
had me
one.
there. Thought we were going to say we're going to have some bone splitters. Got really excited, but alas, no. They're sailing off into the sunset.
Yeah, I've just seen Scott saying 7 bone splitters. Unfortunately, no.
Sadly not.
They're deader than dead, actually. So of the three big wa, it's just big wa, obviously. The 3 Cruel Boys, they're all Grinning Blades. They are seeing some really good work right now. We've got 1 Iron Jaws, and he's gone for Bloodtooths. Mr. Lewis Watson gets to be shout out there. He's been running them for ages. He loves them. So
doing really well with them. Did really well at Tempest as well.
4-1 at Tempest, just coming right off the heels of a 4-1 at Tempest. So really cool to see. We've then got next down. We've got Gloomspite Gates. We've got the Gates. Gates used to be quite king. We just used to see Squigs for days or Boingrots for days or whatever. But now is the time for the Trog meta. Trog.
Very excited to talk about those later on.
For sure. So we've got 1 King's Gets list. We've got 2 Glogs Mega Mob, and we've got 3 Jaws of Mark. 2 Jaws of Mark. That adds up to 5 DJ. So again, a decent mix there as well. We've then got Sylvaneth. Of course, we had Sylvaneth because Reese is coming, and he only ever takes Sylvaneth, returning champ. But what's quite interesting is he has changed up his kind of choices from before.
Anything to fit Alariel into the list. That's what it is.
Well, no, Alariel and Durthu, you have to fit both in. You have to get both.
Less said about him, the better.
Have to get both. So we've got that. We've got in terms of the Sylvaneth, just checking here. Yes, we've got 2 Heartwood, 2 Gnarlwood. 1 Gnarlwood, 1 Oakenbrow. So we've got the March of the Ents there as well, which is cool. We've got some Blades of Corn. We're looking at how many Blades of Corn we've got. We've got 4. It's interesting because actually we've got 2 spare players for the event, but they're both running Blades of Corn, which is cool. So we've got 1 potentially for day 1, 1 potentially for day 2, and looks like everything's sitting at 62 for both days, unless obviously we get drops. But yeah, so we've got 4 Blades, we've got 2 Reapers of Vengeance, 1 Blood Lords, and 1 Baleful Lords as well. So again, a decent mix. 3 KO, we've got a Zilfin, an Urbaz, and a Thring. So again, a big mix there as well. We've got 3 OBR. This feels like this is unprecedented for OBR because
I was surprised to only see 3.
Yeah,
and not all 3 are Null Myriad as well, which was big. We've got a Mortis in there, which is nice to toss that up. After seeing how many of them were at Tempest and everything, I did expect to see more, so I am pleasantly surprised. I'm going to wonder if maybe seeing so few Bone Reapers and Null Myriad at Broken Realms might potentially enable these Seraphon to run a bit rampant, so that'll be really interesting to see. For
sure, they've kind of almost became a gatekeeper, haven't they, for a lot of the magic heavy armies. You've got Seraphon that can put out so heinous amount of mortal wounds via magic, but then it's like, well, we've got this army that just has 2 ups against it, and can you do anything against that? So I think they've been keeping them down. The fact, as you say, we've only got 3 now. It's like, ooh. Yeah, they might just kind of come out and dominate, but we'll see. So we've got that. We've got some Nurgle. We've got 3 Nurgle. We've got 2 Befuddling Host and a Droning Guard. We've got 2 more tribes. They're both Boulderhead. Just seems to be everyone's just running kind of Boulderhead right now, going for the big Stonehorns. We've got 2 Feck, both Hollowmorn as well. Rest in peace, Feck.
Short-lived.
Short-lived. So the time was good. The time was good for Feck, bad for everyone else. And now they've kind of sorted it, they fixed it, pretty much, and so now we're seeing a change. We're not in our ghoul heavy sub-factions. We're now into Hollowmorn, which is quite cool to see. We've got 2 Tzeentch, both Guild of Summoners. Guild of Summoner stonks are way up, giving them the auto dispel rounds 1, 3 and 5 is pretty huge right now in a magic heavy meta. So very, very cool. We've got Fire Slayers, we've got 1 Greyfeared, we've got 1 Vostarg, so 2 Fire Slayers, two Naked Dwarfs coming. We've got Lumineth, which again, it's like one of these ones where it used to be quite popular. Now we're not seeing it as much.
So dominant.
Yeah,
with the heal on nerf, they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
The GHV wasn't kind.
But we've got 1 heal on, which is cool. And we've got 1 Zytric as well, which is awesome. And then we get into the oneers. We get into the little single people coming. They just want a table for 1, please. We've got a Suns list. So we've got the Gargants. We've got one Deepkin list coming all the way over from Northern Ireland as well. We've got Ironjaws, as discussed already. We've got Slanesh. Oh, we've only got one Slanesh, Kyle. Do you not feel sad about
Well, it's
that?
because I don't think I can commentate and play at the same time, unfortunately. So I thought the best Slanesh player in Scotland will take a seat out and just let the other guy catch up. We'll see how it is.
Sounds good. And then we've also got one Slave to Darkness and Knights of the Empty Throne. So I should have said as well that Slanesh is Pretenders, because why would you run anything else?
Why wouldn't you?
Deepkin's Nautilar, I like that. Cool. I know that we've got a Kronspine in there, and we also have Big Turtle. I like turtles. And then we've got Taker Tribe for the Suns as well, which is cool to see. And then we have one lone little Doc player coming, Daughters of Cain. Again, surprising. It's one of these ones where I think Daughters of Cain could be extremely dominant, but very underplayed, especially up here in the Scottish meta. Don't have very many Doc players, and he's bringing Hagnar, and that's Sinky. Yeah, he's a coming. Yeah. So that's us, guys. That's the kind of overall view of all the different factions, sub-factions that are coming. As I said at the start, like Soulblight and Seraphon, pretty dominant in terms of the numbers. Good to see Warclans seeing quite a lot of things coming from within their book. I think we know why that is. We'll talk about that a bit more, because we're going to be looking at some lists as well. And then Gits, Sylvaneth, they're the kind of the big hitters, and then Blades of Corn as well, and then kind of everything from there. So very, very cool. So without further ado, I think we can start getting into some lists. So, in kind of no particular order at all. Well, there is a particular order.
Well, there
is
one.
We have to go with one first. So we'll kick things off with him. But yeah, I'm just going to have a wee chat. I mean, the chat is blowing up over here. Jeez, I've barely been able to look at this. It just looks like people are just ripping the piss out of each other, which is great to see.
Very typical up here in Scotland. Lots of guys crying. You can see Curtis here crying, very upset that the Feck have died.
For sure.
Just in time for their new book to come out and be incredibly busted for Halloween. So you never know.
That's true, actually. Yeah. So they're long overdue for their new book for sure. And yeah, just very nice, healthy guys. They're all actually keeping it pretty tame in there. So good on you guys. That's personal. That's some good personal growth. So anyway, let's not keep it tame. Let's dive straight in. I can't wait to go over this list. Let's go for it. So we're kicking things off with none other than the reigning champion, Mr. Reese Fraser, and
Treebeard himself.
Mr. Treebeard himself. He loves his trees, plays nothing but trees, loves his Sylvaneth, but has changed things up of late, which is very, very cool. So we're going to kind of dive into that, and we're going to discuss kind of what he's doing with this new list. So his sub-faction is Gnarlroot. This is the one that gives you the 3d6 cast on one of your casts, which obviously is a huge combo with the Warsong Revenant that we also have in the list as well. So for those of you who don't know, and where the hell have you been if you don't know, the Warsong Bomb, which you need Spellsinger, and the Warsong, I believe, also has got the War Scroll spell for the AoE Mortal Wounds. AoE Mortal Wounds stonks are really, really high again also. I mean, they've never really gone away. So you've still got some armies that are still very capable of doing AoE Mortal Wounds, Sylvaneth being one of them, Lumineth also being one of them if they're taking Techless. But it's great because a lot of the spell ignores just don't apply, because you're not targeting the units. So, you know, the wording might be, so I know for myself when I was playing Nighthunt, the Banshees would give you some protection from spells, but not from AoE, because they're not being targeted by an actual spell. It's just you're picking a thing, everything within a certain radius of that just takes that many mortal wounds. So it's really, really good and great at kind of bunker busting and things like that as well. We're continuing to see big castle lists. So you look at things like OBR or things like Soulblight, they just want to stay quite compact in the wee castle, move up as one, give it all their buffs. You could just really hit them hard with this AoE stuff. So very, very cool. Obviously the war song that he's got as well it's also got Merciless Blizzard.
Why wouldn't you with that? With the
So you can also chuck that through the tree as well, the wild booze as well, which is, or can you actually? Can you not? Because you can't extend the range at all,
can't
can
extend
you?
the
Right,
range
okay,
of this in
perfect.
any way, shape, or form. No.
Oh my god, that would have been horrendous. Right, okay,
But it
that's
just
fine.
kind of keeps you from getting a little bit too close to her,
Got you.
just in case, because obviously he can still use that 3d6 discard the bottom.
Yeah. No.
And then maybe if he rolls a 6, throw a primal in there, it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
So it's very good to see how that could be going.
I
Tree
agree.
Revenants are amazing in there as well. He's got those to kind of protect him and everything. So
Yeah.
I think the way he's built his list is really good. Grand strategy, he's took spellcasting Savant, obviously because the War Song is the locus himself. If he keeps that alive, in the back corner, then he gets it. Very, very good, very, very doable. Because you're not really going to get up to that back corner where because he's going to keep on having Durthu teleport in and out.
Yeah.
And whatever Durthu's going to get into combat with, because he's been given the Gladius, those D3 extra attacks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen Reese roll fewer than 3 extra attacks on that Gladius.
I can also attest to that as well. Anytime I played Reese, it's always +3 attacks. So you've got this 7 attack monster with flat 6 damage just whomping in on you, and Durthu just kills everything. We've seen such scenes at Broken Realms. The great meme that has came up so many times as Reese pumping Karazai. Sorry, Mike Callahan in chat.
Mike packing up and just going home. Yeah, that was
don't mean to trigger Mike at all. He'll have his time as well. But yeah, so it's Durthu just absolutely slaps. It's great. Obviously, as you're saying, the War Song with the spellcasting Savant, so hard to kill that thing because it's got a ward save and it's got an inbuilt ward save. It's also untargetable through the trees because of its wound count as well, I believe as well. So like you're just correct. Not going to be able to hit it with stuff. And yeah, the tree revs are really cool tech because now with the battle tactics, the book battle tactics, you really want to get things like surround and destroy. You want to go for intimidate the invaders, and it's just so easy just to go bloop, teleport whenever you need them. Okay,
got it.
Battle tactic done. Battle tactic done.
Especially combining it with the extra protection that he's got from taking the reaping as his season. So he's got that extra 3 inches to the places of power and everything like that to keep up the healing and all the other little bits and bobs that they have going on as well. So he's really there's a lot of moving cogs in Sylvaneth. I think they're a massive sleeper army. They're so very technical. They're not easy to pick up. So someone's not just going to be able to go, all right, I'm going to go 5-0 with Sylvaneth. I'm going to pick these up and I'm going to go for it. You need to know exactly every single little piece that's moving in there. Your spells need to go off. If your spells don't go off, you need to know what's going to happen if your spells don't go off. A lot of people will just go, oh crap, and then they'll be screwed. Whereas with Reese or something like that, he's going to be able to absolutely just decimate everything with the War Song, casting through the trees constantly, summoning a new tree each turn, tree here, healing, throwing Durthu in. Whatever Durthu doesn't delete is kind of crippled for the rest of the game, to be honest. And then the Tree Song Revenants, okay, you want to target them to try and prevent the battle tactics, sure, you've kind of got rid of maybe 140 points, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a couple of win models, and they get a free all-out attack or all-out defense anyway. So there's lots of different moving parts inside there that I really, really like with Sylvaneth. Hate playing against them. Don't think I've ever beaten Reese actually since his new book came out, which is just over a year ago. Never beat him since. I think the closest I've came was a draw. We actually tried out when the new GHB first came out. I think you remember before they nerfed the War Song bomb. If you remember, we actually played that game out and he did something ridiculous, like 19 mortal wounds through it before it was actually nerfed. And then he cast Blizzard. So that was kind of really glad that got taken down a notch as well.
Oh wow, yeah, no, cool. And I mean, yeah, as we say, Reese knows exactly what he's doing. He's become super adept at the striking fades, so he knows like where to hit, where to kind of pull back. Alariel obviously slaps as well. Let's not forget her 820 points, and also such a toolkit as well. So you can summon. You've got this huge list of things you can summon, depending on your opponent. So if you need some ranged output, you summon 3 bows, the Kurnoth bows. You need bodies and objectives, you summon the Twinning Dryads. You need whatever. Like you can just go right. I need this for this game. Let's bring that on. And then obviously she's coming back to life as well. And again, you can be as ballsy with that as you need to. You can either wait for she's auto coming back, or you can maybe wait for the 3 up or the 2 up or whatever, so really cool. And then obviously the end of spells, we've got Spikesworm Hive. You want that for the extra 3-inch charge. If it goes off on the 2 up, it should go off. And then we've also got some nice speed tech with the Malevolent Maelstrom. Seen this in a lot of lists now. Again, just for some more AoE mortals from an endless spell. If you can tick that up with spell casting, which we could be able to do here, or with damage and things like that as well. And a really nice little tech piece pick in here as well. Skaith's Wild Hunt. Really, I quite like this. As I was saying to you before the chat, I was like, I'm gonna have to go and Wikipedia and look these bastards up. Like, I have no idea what they do. Yeah. So the spell it's just pick a friendly unit within 12 plus 1 a wound. So why wouldn't you? 110 points for that. You've got primal dice now to try and get that cast off reliably. So.
It's nice because you don't see too many of the Underworld warbands even showing up on the table outside of competitive play as well. So a couple of them very useful. Skaith is one of them up there, which is nice because Underworlds do some of the most gorgeous models that come out there. It's a shame that the rules for themselves are just so lackluster.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, that's all nice and neatly packaged. I love this. That's just because of just how tight it is. Like in terms of you've got the 3 big heroes, you've got the 3 battle line, and you've got 1 other unit, and that's it. 2 drop. Just a really nice slick list, very clean, and as we say, I think Reese knows exactly what he's doing with this. So I expect big things from the big man here this weekend. I would love him to hang on to his belt. Him taking out 2 Broken Realms GTs I think would be amazing. And yeah, I think he's got the list to do it as well, for sure. So yeah, that is us. So let's move on. So we've done Reese. I hope that wasn't too cringe for you there, big man. I know that he hates any sort of positivity whatsoever. So, yeah, we'll move on, shall we? So, without any...
No pressure.
Yeah, also no pressure as well, of course. He'll obviously say that he's a narrative player and that he doesn't really care, but we all know.
Narrative is winning. The narrative is winning.
For sure, we all know. Nobody plays Age of Sigmar for fun. Like, it's all about the wins here, guys.
Warhammer's not about fun.
No, absolutely not. So, without, again, there's no kind of particular order to this, folks, other than I have went, I say no particular order, I've went completely ordered. I've picked one... I just meant in terms of the individual people, but I've tried to go for an order list, then a destruction list, death list, chaos list, just because I quite like that. So we're going to move on to destruction next, and we are going to be calling upon someone that I don't think I've personally met yet. I don't think I've seen him at a tournament yet, but I believe it's Mr. Nicholas Joyce. And he is running Sons.
Sons, isn't he? Yeah,
Behemat.
Sons.
Yeah, so quite cool here. He's the only Sons player. And I know that a lot of people are kind of bemoaning Sons in that they're not really got a lot of love in the GHB in terms of battle tactics are really quite difficult for them to do. Potentially, they've not got a lot of love in terms of their own book battle tactics as well. A lot of them rely on very random dicey dice rolls for things like picking up and chucking and splat, trying to kill something with or a hero with like throwing rocks, which are horrendous. But we have seen them do well. We've seen them either with some sort of tech or someone tailoring a list to make sure that they can at least do 3 battle tactics reliably, and then from round 3 onwards it's just who's killed what, how many bodies are you on objectives, can you score primary, and I've seen what these guys can do on a mission that is very primary heavy focused, and they do a lot of work, and they will really slow a lot of the high scoring armies down because of their ability to dominate on primary. So it's very cool to see, and we've decided to include it just because we want to give the big Gargans some love. So do you want to kind of take us through this one here, Kyle? So we've got Taker Tribe first of all.
Yeah, so Taker Tribe, I believe it is for the purpose of contesting objectives. Taker Tribe allows you to count as 15 models rather than 10, and you get adding 5 onto the mightier makes rightier value for if any Kraken Eaters that are contesting an objective.
Okay, so the Kraken Eaters go up to 35 then.
Yeah, so it's quite big for those. If you get, as you mentioned, if you're going to get onto the primaries, shifting those Gargans is going to be huge. Now, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, you and I, and really that it's interesting that he's taking 4 megas.
Yes.
No babies, which might not necessarily be ideal, given that a lot of the tech coming around and everything. Now, 4 megas, they can still be a big powerhouse. If you're going to shove them on an objective, particularly if you're going to get one of the battle plans in this GHB that allows you to count as double your object models for the purpose of counting objectives, you're not going to shift a Gargan off an objective if that's the case. I do like them. He has taken suffocating Gravetide as well to help deal with some of the hordes, which is an interesting addition to something like Megas and stuff. I do like what he's done there with the endless spells and everything that he is taking there. I do like Suns. They are a big intimidation factor. Newer players or players that might not have possibly been to GTs and things before, seen Suns too often, because they are one hell of a cash sink, unless you're 3D printing them, might be a bit intimidated by them, which can be a huge factor, I think, for some players as well. Can I shift 40 wounds a turn? Realistically, if you're not able to kill a Gargant a turn, they're going to start denying you the objectives. They're going to start denying you those battle tactics. If they can't get them, you sure as hell won't be able to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We've also had some really good input in chat here as well. So Rich is saying the kind of the change to the bosses of the Stomp Battalion as well, allowing you to take the additional artifact and also reduce the drops as well, I think was pretty cool for them. Again, it just helped them, giving them that little leg up as well. And kind of what you were talking about in terms of the endless spells. So obviously Gravetide we're seeing a lot now to try and clear through those hordes. The 5-up mortal wounds against the hordes is really cool. But I'm also thinking, like, because he's got 2 casters, I believe. So he's got the Arcane Tome, Beast Smasher, and he's also got the Glowy Lantern, Krakenator. So both can cast. So you can put both of those endless spells out from each of those guys. And I think just in terms of eating up space. So if you think about a Gargant on an objective, and then you also surround that Gargant with those quite big, long, wide endless spells, you could just completely block off an objective as well. Like, so not only you're not able to outbody them in terms of like numbers of bodies and objectives, even if it was Gargant was to toe on, and then you still need 30 plus bodies to get them off, or you need to do a lot of damage to the Gargant to then bring its number down. You could also just completely dominate an objective with Gargant plus endless spells, or you could dominate 2 with Gargants and then endless spells in front of them as well. So I really like that. I think that's really, really cool.
No Regiment of Renown was interesting as well. I've seen a couple of people take that. Nathan Watson took that at Tempest with his one. I believe it was. Was it Tempest? Or was it?
I think it was the one there that he went to. Was it Skirmish? Yeah, I think it might have been Skirmish. Yeah.
Played me, so I should know. Played me, so I should know that. His was very useful for surround and destroy, which might not be necessarily too easy for Gargants and things to get. I'm actually a big fan of what Games Workshop have been doing with these Regiments of Renown, so interesting to see where they're going to take them in the future. But it's very interesting. Pure Megas, nothing else. I am interested to see how it does, because it's the only one here.
For sure.
I'm happy it's the only one that I'm sure as hell not wanting to play it, so woe betide whoever does come across the Suns.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see. In terms of good input from Nathan there, saying on that mission you were talking about where they count as double, they would count as 1,
plus
1, which is still okay, which is cool.
36. Oh no.
I don't know for sure. Like that's still good. And again, just kind of going through these mega list. So we've got Beast Smasher, we've got King Broad, we've got Krakenator, and we've got War Stomper. So like a nice spread there. So no Gatebreaker to see again, just in terms of points, trying to squeeze all those in. So going for the Beast Smasher instead of the Gatebreaker was quite interesting here. I don't know. I think
I've seen. Obviously, we had quite a lot of Gargants coming to Tempest. So compared to Broken Realms, to Tempest is huge. There was a Beast Smasher, I believe. One of them was at Tempest, and it was nuts. It was a Gargant v Gargant game that went on there, and the Beast Smasher just absolutely decimated one in a go. So anything that is coming into monster contact with the Beast Smasher, they are absolutely horrendous to come up against. I believe it did something like 46 wounds or something ridiculous in one shot. It just absolutely tore through it.
That's awesome. Okay. Unfortunately, no mirror match for them this tournament.
No, we sadly can't pair them off against each other in the corner.
Yeah, I know, right? Just like you Timmies go smash. But yes, we've got the Arcane Tome, we've got the Glowy Lantern, Amberbone Totem as well on the general run and charge, which is nice. So these boys can go 16 inches then charge. Obviously, they can go over models and things like that, which is cool. And then you've got the Manticore Venom and the War Stomper just to get the +1 damage. +1 to wound, sorry. Which helps, which is cool. So I like that. 2000 on the nose, so no Triumph.
No Triumph.
Went for Overshadow as well, which is interesting because we've seen
popular,
quite a few Overshadows, right?
Yeah.
That and the Spellcasting Savant, which we've already seen in the previous list. So no, very cool. Love to see it. So that's Gargants, baby. Let's move on. Reese has also just been super cheeky in chat. Says get it, mega list, and he's playing Gargants. Reese, we've said your bit. You can just leave now if you like. It's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine for you to go.
Ban from the chat. That's
absolutely
it. See you
fine
later.
for you to go. And if you don't go 5-0 and take out this tournament, you're absolutely washed, mate. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, keep that in mind. So we're going to move on to our first Soulblight Gravelords list of the show, and we are going to. It's going to be the honour of the Legion of Night has been given to Mr. JJ Cropley. So we will be going over his list. Chose JJ just because obviously he's been doing very well on the scene. He went 4-1 at Tempest as well, which is good. So kind of hot off a 4-1. I know that he'd be itching to kind of prove himself. You know, if a lot of you guys don't know JJ, and if you're unsure of whether or not he's a good player, chances are he'll probably just tell you that he's a good player anyway, or he'll tweet about it and tell you about his amazing unbroken streak that he had as well. So don't worry. But no, he is generally a good, very good player, very solid. He obviously puts in the hours, he puts in the work, and so yeah, I'm expecting some big things from JJ this tournament. So we're going to be talking about Legion of Night. It's zombies. It's a lot of
140 zombies.
That's a lot of zombies. But one thing I will say for JJ is he's given us some really helpful notes. That's so nice. Very
nice actually to go through, because I was looking at it and I was like, right, this is boring. But it's interesting to see. Not everybody. We were actually talking about this in one of our WhatsApp chats earlier on today about things like gotchas and lists and things like that. It's not every player that's going to be kind enough to let you know what things do in advance.
Yes.
So it's very nice discussing at the start of a game. This does this. 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 And your opponent's going like. Whereas you can actually, if you bother to read the rules pack, which most people don't, so you're probably not going to read your opponent's lists. But if you do, you can actually see what Legion of Night can do. Doesn't matter because JJ's unstoppable anyway.
That's fine,
so it's Legion of Blood. They're just.
What's a rules pack, Kyle? I don't have no idea.
I don't know. I can't actually read, so it's very interesting for myself.
Doing well, buddy. So yeah. So let's talk about the list then. So we've got Legion of Night. Their whole shtick is they can counter charge you. So in the opponent's charge phase, you can just pick a friendly unit that is within 12 inches of an enemy unit that's declared a charge, but it has to be outside of 3 inches of an enemy unit, and you can charge them on in. So hugely disruptive to a lot of other armies' plans. You can completely just nullify maybe a person's turn just by going, okay, so they've made that right, so I'm just going to charge this unit here. I'm going to tag a bunch of these units here that were also all going to charge you, and you're just stuck there now. Thanks. And so
massive shutting down battle tactics as well. Managed to do that before counter charge, not with Legion of Night, but with the Glockin, with Blitzkrieg, where you can let's say your opponent's chosen bait and trap, or he's chosen something like Legend of the Maelstrom or something like that. If you end up counter charging his hero or his battle line or whatever it is that he needs to charge with, you can't do it anymore. That's a battle tactic gone. So it's really, really good. Legion of Night are really insane at the moment, really liking what they can do. Probably,
for sure,
if not the best army.
Yes,
up there at the moment.
100% in terms of win rate and just really dominating right now. So that's their shtick. They also get a heroic action where they can teleport a hero in any phase, any hero phase. So that'll come up in a wee second. So we've got a leader of a vampire lord. So we've got the general. He's got the unbending will, which I'm actually not 100% sure.
Its models in summonable units count as 2 models instead of 1 for the purpose of contesting objectives, whilst they're wholly within 12 of their general.
Very cool, awesome. So that's nice. So that means that those, good lord, oh my god,
those zombies are unstoppable.
Christ. So that means the 100 zombies are 200 models on objectives. Fantastic. He's then gone for the artifact of Morbeg's Claw, which is the one where if you don't move or run or charge or anything like that, it gives you pluses to cast and a little aura, which is nice. And then he's went for Lore of Primal Frost Merciless Blizzard, which is interesting because I'm not actually sure what he's trying to do with this guy. Could you enlighten us, Kyle, as to what's going on here?
Lower primal. So obviously, with being able to teleport across the board with your ridiculous every each hero phase, you can just pop him in 9 inches away. Boom. Obviously, you can't edit Blizzard, but that does not stop you teleporting across the board. I've seen it happen. Boom. Teleport over. Blizzard. 46 mortal wounds. He rolls 16 mortal wounds. Whatever he's targeting is gone. It's
Yeah.
very, very nifty. And then, oh, Woebetide, it's now your hero phase. He goes away. So very, very, it's a coward's army. It's he who wants to fight but does not want to fight. He pops
Yeah.
in, shoots you, very Omaewa Shindewu, and just teleports away behind you, nothing personal, and disappears off into the night.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, one of the more grievous uses of Blizzard that I've seen in terms of the game. Being able to play a tournament at Tempest and just see Blizzard and obviously its ability to be used by armies that have that teleport, so they either have an inherent teleport ability or a heroic action teleport or a cast for a teleport, and just like cool, boom, teleport, and then just Blizzard this thing off. So 4d6 more was it's just gone. And you're like, oh my god! And then that's just from like a little hero that's 100 points, 100 points, whatever. It's insane.
It's good, although I do believe it was Tempest that JJ in turn 1 did blow himself up and kill himself. So it can happen. It can happen if you do Primal Miscast and blow yourself up. So doesn't get much sympathy from me though for running it. For if you do Primal Miscast, I must say. So it is, but yeah, it can happen too. So I say the risk reward is there, but the chances of rolling a 1 is so slim that it's just not. It's always worth taking.
Absolutely. So we've then got Manfred. Love a bit of Manfred. He's changed a wee bit from the last iteration. He's no longer got that big aura for +1 to hit and wound, but he does now have always strikes first. And I believe that he can also do the counter charge sting. So he's great because he can counter charge you in the opponent's charge phase, and then he strikes first. So. He can also be a bit of a tank as well. Like he's got a 3-up base. He's got a 6-up ward, obviously, for being in Soulblight. So
negates the first wound
right.
allocated in each phase or more wounds.
Off. Yep, coming in.
And because he's a vampire, he will heal up to the value of 6 as well. So he does get the tankiness.
Pretty much. He just needs to deal 6 wounds, and that's it. He's going to heal those 6 wounds back every turn. Really good. He's got Spirit Gale on Manfred. Awesome. And then we've got Necromancer, and he's got Waste Away, which I believe is probably one of the stronger spells in the lore. Is it -1 attack and wound, or I can't remember what it was.
I believe off the top of my head. Let me just pull that back up. Lore of the Vampires. Wasting Away, yes. So it's subtract 1 from wound rolls and subtract 1 from damage rolls. And if the casting value is 9 or plus, you get to pick 2 units instead of 1. So it's really strong. Neg 1 damage to a minimum of 1, must say, but neg 1 damage and neg 1 to wound. Neg 1 to wound is huge because not every army has +1 to wound in certain things like that. So you could potentially be pushing things to winning on 4s, winning on 5s, even if that's really difficult as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then in the battle line front, we've got 10 direwolves. Just 140 points for 10 direwolves is tremendous.
So cheap.
It's so cheap, and just like you can conga line these boys out and just make big old screens. Because a lot of taking up space. We've got only 3 Felbats, which is interesting because I think these are probably one of the better units for doing the counter charge with, because they fly. They can hop over models. They can just get into spaces that you can't really usually
go around.
deal
They're
with.
Fast. For death, at least they're fast.
Yeah.
Which is nice as well. So you can kind of get them for going around, surround and destroy. If you're not, you teleport one of the wizards over into the back corner, and then your Felbats are on the other sides, and you can do whatever it is you want to do. But you can't really do this much with only 1 unit of Felbats. But who cares when you have 140 zombies to just flood the board?
So what we're looking at here, we've got. Oh yes, sorry, God, I said 100. No, it's not. It's 140. Oh my gosh, yeah. So 140 zombies. We've got 20, 40, 40, 40. And these things are going to be counting as double. On objectives, thanks to General. So that's just horrendous. He's got the corpse cart so that they can spike mortals when they're attacking. We've got, interesting here, Theory of Verkus Bloodborne, which again also had to look up, and apparently they have a 9-inch pre-game move, which is quite cool. Pretty cool. I like that.
That's something quite early on, which is nice.
For sure.
We'll head towards somewhere.
And then the real tech here, guys, this is the big brain tech. He's got the Murmur Banshees, and again, this is to protect from your spells. So the Murmur Banshees, what they do is it's wholly within 12-inch aura, and when any friendly unit's targeted by spell, you roll 2 dice, and if you roll above the casting value. So the casting value, not what they rolled, casting value of the spell. You just shut the spell off, which is really cool. They get an inherit +1 to that because you have 3 or more models in the unit. As soon as you lose like a couple of models though, like you don't get the +1, but still, it's really good. And then he's also went for Gravetide, and again probably for clearing out hordes as much as it is just to sit as space.
Yeah,
Like,
especially coming up against a mirror match.
Yeah.
It will really help against a mirror match, clearing
sure.
out the other 100-odd zombies. You know, you're rolling so many dice. You're going to get a couple of them through at least.
For sure. And I think in terms of the helpful notes, I think we covered everything. Apart from the dire wheels have still retained their 6-inch pylon from the last book, which is nice. And then, yeah, he said Gravetide can hit hard. So this is 1970 points, 2 drops, so great. Low drops, just awesome. Again, most of the time means you can dictate who's going first in the maps, and for a lot of the maps, there's quite a good bit of tech if you can force your opponent to go first. So yeah.
Yeah, JJ is actually saying in the comments there that the reason he's taking the Bloodborne personally is to kind of stop another mirror match as well. If they win the 2-drop roll off and cover all the objectives, the Bloodborne can actually stop that pre-game move 1 onto 1 objective and then teleport Manfred onto the other. So you actually are already holding that to kind of help against the mirror match. So he's really thinking ahead just in case he does get the mirror.
No, for sure, because we know that Will Cruikshanks, also a big zombie lover, he's also taken them as well. And there's another Legion of Night one there as well also. So, and obviously we've got Verkos coming with zombies too. So we'll have a look
at those later on perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
Ross actually tuning in there saying Banshees in Banshees and JJ's list are the only Nighthorn in Broken Realms. So they're not seeing much of those anymore, unfortunately.
I've got this entire shelf up here of Nighthorn. That's sad. But yeah, cool. Empire of Corpses Grand Strat just means he needs to bring back 3 summonable units as part of his recursion.
Ridiculously easy.
Should be pretty easy. Yeah, he can roll twice every turn, so fingers crossed. And yeah, that's us. So again, expecting big things from JJ. But don't worry, guys, if you do play him, because it was actually worse playing him when he played KO. So this is actually a lot nicer now, I'm told. So don't worry about that at all. So we're going to move on. We're going to be talking about. I like this bit. This is the pantomime villain of the Age of Sigmar Scottish tournament scene. We're going to be reviewing Mr. Nathan Watson's list. So again, also someone who's been doing very well in the tournament scene. This guy just doesn't lose games, because if it looks like he's about to lose, he'll just force you into a draw.
He'll drag it out.
Anyway, exactly.
He'll drag it out.
Yeah,
exactly. Slow play.
Exactly. So don't worry about it, guys. And yeah, he should do very well. He's been repping his Khorne recently, doing very well with him. The shenanigans of Khorne is horrendous. So we'll kind of touch on a few things here. So he's went Reapers of Vengeance. This means that every time he kills a hero, he gets 2 Blood Tithe for that instead. So he could potentially be swimming in Blood Tithe. He's went for Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury. This is the General, so this is the one with Firebrand and Argath, King of Blades. So I believe Argath is the no ward saves within 8 inches.
Yes.
Firebrand makes him a priest. Is that right? Can't really remember. That seems to be the main loadout. Well, it must be because he's taken a prayer, which is Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct is the one where you pick that unit and they have to make a move towards you, I believe. Or is this the hero phase move one? He can tell me. He's in chat. I don't really care. So he can let us know. But yeah, so this guy basically he gives a 3d6 charge to a unit in your charge phase. He's obviously removing wards. He doesn't really do a lot in combat. He's got a wee bit of shooting, he's got a wee bit of combat, but really he's just like a force multiplier piece in your army that can do a lot of stuff, which is very infuriating. We've then got Bloodmaster, Herald of Khorne, so he's taking the Prayer Bronze Flesh. That improves your save characteristic by 1. We've got the Slaughter Priest with Blood Sacrifice, gets you more Blood Tithe, and we've got a Blood Secretor, gives you extra inches to run and charge, which is cool. And then we've got a big man himself, we've got Big Be'lakor here, Dark Master, and we are seeing him a lot more now in a lot of competitive lists. Nathan's also just clarifying Killer Instinct is the hero phase move, so you can get this guy into a position where you can just hero phase move him to within 8 inches of a unit, so they can't redeploy away from the no wards, which is really, really not very nice at all. So we went for Be'lakor, which is great because it means that he can potentially shut down a unit. If Nathan, obviously, let's just check how many drops he has. He's 2 drops as well, so he can make it so that he could potentially want to go first. His opponent can then go, and then if his opponent gets to double, it gives him that double protection because he's Bellacord, this big unit, this threat unit or whatever, or he's Bellacord, a unit that you picked to do a battle tactic or something, right? So it's just he's very cool. So yep, we've then got, in terms of battle, I think also as well, one of the only ways to get a wizard into Khorne as well.
Yes, that's right.
Because he's a native wizard as well, which is cool. Battle line, we've got a big old block of 30 Blood Warriors. So these guys are a real pain because they just don't really die usually. So you've got 60 wounds in there that could be on a 2-up save, potentially could be on a 2-up save, ignoring rend 2.
Yes, they're not moving. Stick them on an objective. They're not going. They're not going anywhere.
Bronze flesh them, mystic shield them, all at defense them. So that's, and this 3-up save base. So that's pretty nuts. Also, if you do hit them, when they roll for their saves, they can do mortals. When they die, they also roll to do mortals as well. And then even if you've managed to chew through a couple, you can just rally them back. Anyway, right? Sorry, Blood Secretor. I'm getting confused between the Blood Secretor and the Blood Stoker. The Stoker's is not the Blood Stoker. Sorry, is the guy with the whip, makes the guys move fast. Blood Secretor is the guy with the big massive banner and gives you the 4-up rally. So it's just nuts. Like, he's just going to basically be wielding this big massive brick that probably won't do that much damage, like to something. But when something hits it, it'll do a lot of damage, and then you'll just get them all back anyway. Probably, and then you're counting as 30 models and objectives. So it's horrendous. We've then got the 310s of Blood Reavers. They're just there as screens and also to get Blood Tithe. We've got 8. We've got the Claws of Karanak, also just to be a screen and get Blood Tithe. We've then also got some. We've got I hate this invocation, Bleeding Icon. Can't do Inspiring Presence. If you feel Battle Shock, D3 extra models flee as well. Oh my actual god! And because it's an invocation, if you don't have any priests, and there's not very many priests kicking around these days, it's just there, and it's just so annoying. He's also taking Gravetide as well. I think he's definitely eyeing up the zombie matchups, the other matchups where they've got quite a few hordes. You want to try and chew through those. So obviously Bellacore casting that is going to be useful as well. He's 2k on the nose, so he's not getting any triumph. Not that he needs it. But one thing is, hilariously as well, he's taking his grand strategy is Slaughter of Sorcery, which means he needs to suicide Bellacore in order to get his grand strat. And
yes,
I cannot wait for him to fail or to lose a game because something's failed to kill Bellacore. I think that'd just be one of the funniest things to happen. So not only does he need to kill... How many 4-ups
can you roll?
What if you just spike your ethereal saves? So so I can't wait to see that. But yeah, so just obviously Slaughter of Sorcery means you need to kill. So there can't be any wizards on the board. So that he also needs to kill enemy wizards, and he also needs to suicide his own Bellacore as well, which can also quite easily be done as well. You know, you just basically romping this guy up the board. Stuff can get rid of him. You just want to make him a nuisance, right? You want him to go off hunting wizards. Make him a nuisance, make your opponent want to kill him, because otherwise, but it does give your opponent a decision to make of, do I just not kill Bellacore and then it denies his grand strat, or can I just ignore him and then I can focus on other stuff as well? So yeah, we shall see. So that's us. That's pretty much it. So hold on, I'm just going to catch up with chat. What's going on here? What is going on here? Everyone is hailing Alan. Let's see.
So Alan's one of the 2 spare players coming to Broken Realms.
Yes, indeed.
Which is nice. He's one of the 2 Khorne players, so I'm expecting him not to be hungover, because he's going to Ross's wedding on the Friday as well. So we shall see how that's going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alan's coming on. He's taking over me for being spare player of Scotland. So he's I'm not actually playing for once. So I do like playing against Alan. Alan has some nice Khorne tech in his list as well, but he's a big fan of Scarbrand over Bellacore. A lot of people like Scarbrand. He took some kind of interesting changes when the new book came out, I must admit. Some people were happy with it, some people weren't happy with it. Obviously, once he gets to the combat, losing that ward kind of hurts him a little bit, because he's just gone. Once he gets hit back, If he doesn't delete whatever he's getting into combat with, he's kind of probably gone. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are taking Be'lakor over him for, as you mentioned, the wizard. And then once you've kind of used that thing that will shut down whatever it is you're wanting to shut down your opponent's army, you've kind of used Be'lakor really for what you're taking him for, other than the Mystic Shield or the spell or whatever. So yeah, you can afford really to just kind of fling him into whatever you want. And if he dies, it's no biggie, like, because
Yeah.
you've got
Well,
a
that's
point
the
to which
thing.
you can strat.
Exactly. If he dies, he dies. Love to see it. So that's us. So I think we're ready to move on from Nathan. Again, obviously expect him to do very well. He knows his stuff.
Yeah,
Love
he's
it.
not been able to go to many tournaments this year, unfortunately.
sure.
So it's nice for him to be able to kind of, well, I say nice for him, not nice for anybody else,
No,
absolutely.
absolutely not. Everyone
So
else will
he can get back into
have
the
a
scene.
terrible time. But yeah, and obviously it has to be shouted out as well. New elected captain for Worlds for next year as well. So congrats, and yeah, basically if you don't 5-0 again, you're dead to me. You're dead to everyone, Nathan. You're just washed. So
Off the team. Forgotten.
Yeah, just commit seppuku and get lost. Right, cool. So we'll move on. We're now going to touch upon, so we're kind of back in the rotation, we're back to order, and I'm going to hit up my boy, Alistair Robertson. So this is a KO. Yeah, oh, love me some KO. So I need to shout out Alistair because not only did he also save me one time, I had to go all the way up to Brewdog and Ellen. He gave me a lift up because he's such an absolute lad, and we had a great time just chatting all about KO. This was when the new book was coming out. We just basically chatted all about KO on the way up, all about KO on the way down. He loves his KO, he just runs them non-stop, so you love to see he's very, very loyal to that army. And he's also, again, hot off the heels of a 4-1 at Tempest as well, which
very well at Tempest,
which is awesome. You love to see
very
it.
well. Well, I love to see if anyone else that isn't playing KO. If I'm honest, I'm not a huge fan of the army. I hate them. The new book's disgusting, but they're not actually as popular. They're not actually as popular now in Scotland. I've noticed, really, which is thankful for myself and everybody else. But Alistair's been doing really well. Really well with the KO.
And again, as it just shows, if you stick with an army, stick with it, keep trying it out, keep doing, just keep doing what you're doing, and you can do well for sure. So yeah, I think KO has lost a lot of love, mainly because, Battle Scroll came out, point changes went up, hugely oppressive lists happened. It's kind of pre-AOS Worlds, you're talking kind of pre-June, July. There was just 35 Thunderers, I think, was pretty much the norm, 30 to 35. You took 2 blocks of 15, maybe you can squeeze in 5 more, and these things were just tailing people. A couple of turns, that's it.
So oppressive.
Yeah, just it's gone. So they've now pretty much done away with that. So you can't really run that build anymore for 2 reasons. Points, and also changes to bridge as well. Not able to use command abilities is just so kind of nerfing as well. But I think it's the change we maybe needed to see. I just you don't want to just keep playing. You don't just want to keep seeing 35
honestly,
Thunderers,
if you want to play a
people.
shooting army that's oppressive, go and play 40k. Like, it's just, whilst we're not sponsored. It's I don't know. Whilst Age of Sigmar terrain rules are the way that they are, not blocking line of sight, not being as large, the Mystic Table's rubbish, like things like that, where you've got permanent line of sight across the board with your ironclads and everything like that. KO is so oppressive. If you've not got a ward save, or if you've not got something like Ideneth that shuts down the shooting to battle round 1 or something like that, your army's gone. And you're like, wow, that was a fun experience. What time does the pub open? But the battle scroll changes and the points updates for them did kind of rein them in a little bit. And kind of people were like, oh, well, that's boring now. Let's go and find off the next busted thing, which unfortunately is the Incarnate again. So
It's back.
So yeah, he's back with a vengeance, and I'm hoping with this next battle scroll, he'll go away again.
Well, we can only live in hope. So we've got KO. We'll very quickly rattle through the list. So we've got Barakar Baz. So this is one that was very popular. Gives you an additional article, which is very strong. The articles, amendments, and footnotes are kind of what a lot of the juice is in the book. So being able to take an extra one of those is really good. Its grand strategy is also one that's quite good to get. You have to kill all enemy flying behemoths. It's not a lot of flying behemoths anymore that you see. So, and you have to have a ship alive at the end of the battle. So he's got 2 ships here. So he should be able to keep at least one of them kind of ticking over to the end of the game, which is
So.
pretty good. And then in terms of his articles and amendments and footnotes, he's got the honour as evidence, so that's the 4-up rally. He's then also made for Mass of the Skies, which is interesting because majority of the time, +2 to move to these ships, but majority of the time we usually see the +1 to wound versus an enemy unit you pick at the start of the game. So I'll be interested to see how he gets on with that. I personally probably went for the +1 to wound because he's also went for inspired and he's 1990, so he could get a good, he could potentially get his +1 to wound from his inspired, but 1990 is also not that
very
reliable,
tight.
so he might end up just with having Thunderers wounded on 4s. So we see for quite a lot of the weapons, but we'll see. So then he's also got Trust Your Guns. This is you re-roll 1 hit roll of a 1, so it's not all ones.
Per turn, isn't it?
1 hit roll, yes, per turn. So usually saved for the big cannons, the Aether cannons on the Thunderers, because you really want to hit with them. They're usually hitting on 2s and 2s. So like if you roll a 1 with them, it's like big booze, and then you just re-roll that into a 2, so it's fine. And in his footnote, he's got with our ships, without our ships, you are not. So this is the one. Once per battle, you can issue 2 commands to ship. This is how you get the fly high, and then you get the combat deploy. So you get the Thunderers outside of 6 inches, basically. Or even not even outside 6. Yeah, they could even be close. Well, I think potentially quite close on that. But yeah, so you get outside 9 with Ironclad, and then that's 1 CP, and then you spend another CP to then combat deploy the Thunderers, and then they just blap away, which is
where the +1 to wound coming in would have been really big. Bring them out, +1 to wound, delete everything. So as you mentioned, it's really interesting that he's not going to do it, because 1990. You're not going to see many lists necessarily.
I think the other thing is also quite good with this as well is that with the extra move, you could potentially just move the Ironclad and then get the guys out the boat, not having to spend the 2 CP, which is quite cool because you then could potentially save a cheeky double redeploy on the ship, which is really quite cool. So yeah, I like that. Or you can also do double all-out defense on the ship as well if it looks like something's going to take it out.
Really go wrong.
20 wounds, 3-up save. I mean, it's quite tanky, but it's not the tankiest, but you get that on a 1-up save. That's pretty cool. So then we've got the 3 kind of standout characters. We've got the Aether Chemist, we've got the Navigator, we've got the Admiral. The Aether Chemist, because we have no casters, he's went for the hand-carved nullstone icon, which means he can unbind the spell, and if he successfully does it, you can repeat, which is cool. Gives you a wee bit of unbinding. He's already got an unbind from the Navigator as well, and then he also goes the artifact for the Voidstone Orb, which gives him an auto unbind once per game. So he's actually got some decent potential anti-magic tech, maybe, because he's got a few unbinds, but he's got the auto unbind for that really big key spell, which is good. If something's about to blizzard off his Ironclad, he could just say nope, which is nice. And then his Admiral is quite a bit of juice because he's the one that's able to spend CPs for free on Grundstock because he's got the command trait X Grundstock. It also is what allowed him to make the Thunderers battle line to then double reinforce them. So you kind of need that guy for this list as well. And then in terms of his other units, he's got Arcanaut Company, he's got Gun Hauler. So it's got 2 gun haulers. Oh, that's great. So he's got even more chance of getting his Grand Strat. He's got 3 ships. My apologies, Alistair. He's got 3 ships instead. One of those ships also has the collapsible compartments, which is then, I'm guessing, going to stick 6 Endrin Riggers in, which is a nice little kind of assassin boat. He can move that super zippy fast, charge in. He can move over stuff to Immortals, and then the Riggers properly chopped because they've got Ren 2, D3 damage a pop, so that's pretty nice. And then we've got the Ironclad to finish everything off. It's all in a 1 drop, so again, great control over who's going first, mission control, stuff like that as well. So yeah, I'd love to see him do well again with KO, which again is a kind of an underrepresented faction this tournament, and kind of has been for the past couple of tournaments, just because of the changes we spoke about. But yeah, really excited to see this. Rich is saying the list breakdowns are great. Thanks, Rich. Love
good to know we're doing a good job for a change.
Thanks so much, yeah. But yeah, I think we're ready to move on now, unless there's anything else we want to say about KO, other than that they're cool, but Kel hates them.
Yeah, I hate them so much.
So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about, Trev. Hey, Trev.
Cruel Boys.
We're going to get his Cruel Boys. Now, I wasn't actually going to do Trev at all, but then he flamed me in chat, so he made the cut for the list review. So let's just rip this to shreds, please.
I think he gets props just for taking Cruel Boys anyway. They've been doing well.
I disagree. He doesn't get props for taking. I thought you were going to say he gets props for taking Cruel Boys because of how bad they are as an army. So he gets props there because
no, they're doing really well now.
I'm sick of seeing this. I'm sick of seeing people saying like, "Oh, but I'm taking Cruel Boys, so it's fine. I'll not do well at all." And whatever. You're hiding behind this, guys, because Cruel Boys are legit. They just went 7-1 at Nova, right? People are chatting a lot of stuff about them. They want to see them in teams. They're doing well in singles events. So I think Cruel Boy Juice stonks are up. Changes that we saw in the book, the battle scroll, they've now got a very easy battle tactic they can also do. And again, battle tactics mean points, which mean prizes. So yeah, we're gonna chat through this one.
Really good as well. So we'll touch into it a little bit just now.
Yeah, for sure. No, great. So we're going Cruel Boys. We're Grinning Blades. Can't be targeted outside of 12. Awesome. You love to see it, right? He's went for Wah. Very good Rand strat to have. You get your general or a battle line unit wholly in your opponent's deployment zone. You get it. Cool. He's went for Indomitable as his Triumph, which he's not going to get because he's 2k. Perfect. Then we've got leaders. So interestingly enough, he has went for Killaboss and Corpse Ripper Vulture. That's his general. Now I like this pick because he is super fast, so he's something that you could quite easily late game zip him on into opponent's deployment zone. Obviously he's got Gobsprak there as well, which means that he can cast the spell, the Sneaky Miasma, to get him to move, normal move, and then he moves, and then he can also advance with that. Plus he's got fasting, so this thing's just going wherever he wants, right?
Wherever he wants.
Wherever he wants.
Total board control with that, which I really like that he's actually running Gobsprak as well as a regular Corpse Ripper as well. Really nice. Gobspraks are awesome. He's deceptively good. I found out recently that he just has so many attacks as well as being a good spellcaster, so I do really like Gobsprak.
Yeah, for sure. Really cool to see. He's also at Command Straight Super Sneaky, which I believe is pre-game. You pick a unit of Cruel Boys and you just stick them wherever you want.
At the start of the first battle round, after determining who takes first, you pick one off and then pop him in 9 inches away.
Fantastic, great. So that's the killer boss. We then got Gobsprak. Now Gobsprak, you're seeing him as a kind of an auto-include in a lot of lists, Cruel Boys and Big Wah especially as well. He's there for anti-magic tech because he's got, if he unbinds a spell, he does D3 damage to the wizard, D3 mortal wounds rather. He's also got a once per game 3d6 unbind as well, so it's even more scary. You can add primal dice to that as well, and if you unbind it on a 10 or more, then you do d6 mortal wounds to the wizard. So your little wee wizards, your little 4-5 wound wizards, they're actually kind of shaking on the boots a wee bit with Gobsprak because he could just unbind them. He's got an amazing suite of spells because he knows the entire lore of the swamp. I think it's the dark swamp or something, lore of the swamp. So he's got spells in there like, make a monster move. He's got a horde clearer as well, the black pit, which is you roll a dice for every model in a unit. For every roll that's equal to or greater than the save characteristic of that unit, you just do a mortal wound. So it's quite, I mean, it might not do much against zombies. But if you've got big units of 4-up saves, 3-up saves, that could do quite a lot of damage. He's also got the very big range spell, which is pick a point in the battlefield 24 inches. Every unit within 6 inches get -1 attack as well, which is
huge,
awesome. And they can't run. As well, which is awesome. So yeah, cool, really nice suite. He's a really good tech piece, kind of toolkit there. As well, he's got a 6-up word base. He can just die to stuff if you're not careful with him. But yeah, really cool. He's then got a Swamp Boss Scumdrek. So this is the named character of the the big swampy monstery thing, the one that gives out the aura of the mortal wounds. They trigger on 5s instead of 6s. Basically 5-ups.
Yeah, if you're wholly within 12 inches, isn't it? You get +1 to the number of mortal wounds.
Yeah, and I believe this guy's only like 10 points more. So it's an interesting pick to then take them. I think there's also some sort of like mini game here as well, where he can just waste models in a unit or something like that as well, or there's some sort of little mini game here which is also kind of cool.
He's got a once per battle thing, which is once per battle at the end of the combat phase, pick an enemy model that has 7 wounds or fewer. You roll, it also cannot have a mount, and it must be within 3 inches of him, so it has to be in combat. Okay. You roll 2d6, and if it's equal to or if it exceeds its wound characteristic, it's automatically slain.
That's cute. I like that. So yeah, he could just waste like these little heroes and stuff like that as well, which is awesome. And he's got 2 swamp color shamans. They're there to give out the poisoned weapons. He's also got choke and mist on 1, which is a -1 to charge for the opponent's army, battle wide, and +1 to charge for yours. And then he's got merciless blizzard and a wee pot grot, because why wouldn't you? You could, just blizzard something off if they get too close. And then we've also got, in terms of units, we've got 10 Gut Rippers, 10 Gut Rippers, 10 Hoggrot Slayers, 10 Hoggrot Slayers, and 2 6s of Man-Skewer Bolt Boys, and a Beast-Skewer Killbow. And we've got Suffocating Gravetide, and the Malevolent Maelstrom as well, for the chance to get some more AoE Mortal Wounds. This is all wrapped up in an Antorian Acolytes, which is an awesome battalion. Love to see it. Getting you those
Very
extra
good.
primal dice
Very popular.
is huge. And then 2 battle regs as well. So this is going to work out as a 4-drop, I believe. Should be a 5-drop, it's saying here. 5-drop, okay. So, of course,
I'm a big fan of Bolt Boys.
Because he's got the 3 monsters, he can't take.
Yeah, he can't fit them all in. Yeah.
So yeah, really cool. So I'd love to see Cruel Boys do well. I'd love to see Trevor Cruel Boys do well. Also, and as we've kind of been saying, a lot of talk about this in chat. I just went 7-1 at Nova, and Ethan's saying it is this list is the list that went 7-1 at Nova. So you'd love to see it. Very, very cool. Anything else to say about Cruel Boys?
I actually really like them. A lot of people don't like them. I know that when they first came out, especially a lot of people don't like the aesthetic. I actually really like them. Love Bolt Boys, spiking all the mortal runes on 5s and 6s, where you can get 2, 3 mortal runes popping out for each of those. Really good. If you have enough of them, it's just 2, 3 mortal runes on a 5-up that's talking Helon levels here. So it's very scary what you can do with them.
It is insane, and I will never forget the day where I charged a black coach into 6 Bolt Boys, playing Sean McKechnie on Cruel Boys, and they unleashed hell and did 24 mortal wounds into my black coach. And I think actually,
and you shook his hand and went home.
I think Phil McGuinness actually, he captured my face with a picture. He was at the table. We have this ongoing thing with Phil where anytime he stands next to me at a tournament, I instantly just start doing terribly, and I have to actually ask him to leave, like to move away, because the dice rolls go to shit. Like everything the tide just turns. They're like, Phil, you have to leave now. You can't be next to me. And I think he actually got my picture like of that day as well, which is quite funny.
He's a bad omen.
Yeah, 100%. He's my really, really bad omen. So awesome, right? So let's move on. We're going to talk about a Death Army, and we're going to be moving on to Ossiarch Bone Reapers. We're going to be talking. I was waiting for someone to go. Ugh. Now it's okay because it's not Null Myriad.
It's Mortis.
Who are actually Null Myriad. You very rarely see them at tournaments these days, I would say.
Apparently so. They're not popular.
I don't know why. I mean, you just don't see them at all.
It's rubbish. That's what it is.
Yeah, it must be. GW man, James, what's going
James
on?
Workshop,
James,
back at it again.
James, get off the crack. Come on. So we've got this is quite cool because we've got Mortis Praetorians list. So it's not your run of the mill Null Myriad, not your run of the mill in the Myriad. So this is quite cool because this also kind of like a la Legion of Night for Soulblight. This gives you your countercharge ability, right?
Yes. So once per turn during the enemy charge phase, you can, after an enemy finishes charge, you can pick units within 12, and you can attempt to charge, provided that you're out of combat yourself. So, and in fact, it's once per turn as well. It's really good. You can put in anything like that will come in. Throwing in those Immortus Guard that just won't die. Throwing in Stalkers, or even if you're playing maybe a more casual game, something like Morghast or something, some big damage dealers like that. We can throw those in. Well, just tying anything up.
He does have block of 6 Stalkers, which is nice to see. Just the damage output from them is pretty good, something to behold. So that could be a good shout. So in terms of Grand Strat scales balanced. So for this one, you have to have either what are the little guys called again? The little shieldy swordy boys. Mortec Guard, good. You have to have a unit of Mortec Guard or a unit of Kavalos Death Riders. They have to have the exact same number of models in the unit as they had that they have at the end of the game as they had at the start of the game. So either means you just be super safe and keep a unit of 5 Death Riders just out of harm's way, or you do that anyway. You can still get them stuck in, but you can potentially res them back, because obviously Catacross has got some resin, the Bone Shaper's got some resin as well to bring models back, so that's kind of cool. He's then meant for Catacross. Obvs, we pretty much see Catacross in every list, I think, just for the fact that he's a huge force multiplier. So the +1 is save, excuse me, aura. He's got the resing ability. He's got the ability to nerf your opponent's army and units as well, and he also can slap. Next to a hero, he can absolutely slap as well, which is really cool to see. We've then got a Bone Shaper in there with the Artisan's Key. Allows him to do extra resing. He's also taken Hoarfrost, which again, you put a Hoarfrost onto either the Death Riders or onto the Stalkers, and that is
you can buff the damage on the Stalkers and then still get the extra rend, which is going to be nuts.
That's huge. And then he's got Mortisan Soul Mason, who's the general. He's taken the Dark Acolyte as the command trait, which I'm not actually sure what that is. You can double check. And then he's taken Merciless Blizzard on that as well, which is very, very cool. And then we've got 3 5s of Death Riders. You're not seeing a lot of Death Riders these days. You usually only see either 1 unit of 5 or 2 units of 5. There's obviously Battle Tactic involved with Death Riders, where they make a charge and still within combat at the end of the game. But they can be quite tanky. So obviously 15 wounds that you can 5-up ward, and you could Mystic Shield as well, so you could get them into places, and then counter charging is actually quite cool. We've then got 3 Immortus Guard. I think they're basically there just to camp on the heroes and keep them around.
They're unkillable. They're just
yeah.
You're just not getting
It's only got 3 of them. It's only got 3, but still, like, I think they'll just be. You'll be passing off damage onto them. You can res them back as well. So yeah, and then he's got the 6 Stalkers in there. He's got a Soul Stealer Carrion, which is cool. That's the kind of the vulture spell.
Very good
really
endless
nice.
spell.
Yeah.
Shutting down everything, shutting off the wards and anything like that. That's
Awesome.
ridiculously good. Dark Acolyte, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
it's wizard only in your hero phase. If the first spell that you cast is from your lore of Ossian sorcery, and you successfully cast it, it cannot be unbound.
So this gives him the oh god, what do you call it? The battle tactic from the book.
Yes.
To just cast a spell, can't be unbound. So he's got that on lock as well. So wow, okay, awesome, very cool. But yeah, something a wee bit different. It's not your usual Null Myriad. It's not your usual 2 blocks of 6 Immortus and whatever. So I just thought we'd give that a wee shout out. Alistair also has been a long time OBR player. Also likes to play a wee bit Doc as well. But I've seen him quite a lot playing OBR. His army is stunning as well. So probably potentially up there for votes on best painted. So yeah, so well done for him. So let's keep rattling through. I'm just conscious. I'm looking at the time and like, oh my god. So let's keep going. So we've got on to Chaos now. We have Maggotkin of Nurgle, and this is the flies or the bees list. So everyone's saying
B-list. Very very well with Phil McGuinness.
Yes. So Phil McGuinness, everyone's favourite Geordie, has had taken this list and went 5-0 with it. Down south in a tournament. I think it was a couple of weekends ago. He went there, took out the tournament with this list. The list is nails. He was playing it as part of a TTS tournament as well recently, and was just doing a lot of work in here as well, which is awesome. So basically, the meat and potatoes of this list is you've got how many plague drones? You've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. So you've got 18 plague drones that have pre-game moves and basically just sit on objectives, and either you kill them or you don't kill them, and they just keep holding objectives. They keep getting you battle tactics. They just keep on trucking. 5-up ward, obviously something that Nurgle just does very well with. If you can spike those 5-ups, this stuff just becomes super survivable. And then within there you've also got Sloppity. So Sloppity can stop Sloppity can stop piling. He could also, if he wanted to, he could just proc mortal wounds to hit as well. You could just go, man, Plague Drones have a lot of attacks as well. Like a lot of attacks. They're not high quality attacks, but it's high volume. So they do very well. You've also got a lot of afflictions in there as well. He's got the command trait Overpowering Stench, which I believe is the one that shuts down command abilities.
Within 7, yeah, can't issue and receive commands within 7, which is strong. So so you can't pile in, you can't issue and receive commands. You're not going to kill these flies.
Yes, 100%. He's then also gone for the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury as an ally. Now, really,
seen this a lot in Nurgle.
Really cool little pick here for this one. It's something that you've seen, so we're seeing it kind of quite a bit as a little ally. So Khorne and Nurgle being the two kind of forces, being the two gods that actually kind of like each other. You can ally in the Bloodthirster here of Unfettered Fury. So he's a nice little pick, nice little force multiplier in here as well. And then he's got 3 Nurglings just to do stuff with. 100 points for 3 Nurglings, and they can also be quite hard to shift as well, and just quite annoying. He's wrapped it all up in a battle reg. He's went for, is it still a 2-drop? 2-drop?
Yeah, 2 drops, yeah.
Of course, you can't fit the Nurglings in as well. 2-drop, and the thing with Nurgle is, right, so they have got quite good summoning, right? And they can summon. Oh, by the way, I should also just mention it, guys. This is Stu. This is Stu's list. This is Stu West. Big up to Stu. He is, I believe, kind of going on to Nurgle. He's played Nurgle before, but I know that he's on Six Nations, so he'll obviously be wanting to try and get some reps in with some really broken lists to try and obviously take to the big event. And yeah, as everyone in kind of chat saying, like, this is kind of low-key broken, right? This list, its ability to just very overpowering to the opponent's army is pretty huge. But as I was saying about the summoning, if you summon a hero that's a wizard, you can then pick a lore spell. There's nothing to stop you picking Blizzard or Hoarfrost, because I know he's not actually got it in the list here. So, but
which you can then stick on the flies, and the sheer number of attacks that they can put out is Ren 3 suddenly.
Yeah, it's also what makes this such a good teams list as well, because you're not taking up the slots for Blizzard and Hoarfrost that other armies would have, because you just summon in the hero and then you can just pick it. So really like this list, and I know kind of we're looking in the chat like it's a list that's gone through a few iterations and people have been kind of working on that behind the scenes. As I say, Phil went and did really well with it. I fully expect Stu to take this on and do really well with it as well. He's a really good player, very canny, has the ability to pick up a list and do well with it. And as I say, this is a very oppressive list as well. So I can't wait to see it just causing people headaches and just people just go, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do against all these flies that just all go up in my face, or just pin me into my deployment zone, or just sit on objectives and I literally can't do anything. So very, very cool. And also spreading disease everywhere, which is awesome. So yeah, we'll move on to, we'll keep going, we'll keep trucking. So that's that. Anything else you want to say about the Nurgle list, Kyle?
No, I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of the bees. Yep. Nurgle themselves as a faction out with this list aren't doing too well.
Yes.
They kind of, being one of the older books of this iteration of Age of Sigmar, they kind of could do with some a little bit more love. I think overall as a faction, but I feel like even in the bad books, not necessarily bad, but weaker books, there's always some busted tech that someone will figure out and pull out. Especially when you combine it with the wheel of contagion that Nurgle have.
Yes, that's very true.
If you're going to be pulling it out suddenly that you can't do a heroic action on, if you're not, I've got the Nurgle keyword, you can't inspiring presence, you can't rally, you can't pile in, you can't issue and receive any other commands. Like, and then all of a sudden these bees are now Ren 3. You're like, wow, what a great player experience I'm having. But you know, it's not about your opponent, it's about you going 5-0. So, you know, as we said earlier on, Warhammer's not about fun. It's about winning.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just had Scott in chat asking what is the Bloodthirster actually bringing. So it's got an 8 rule called the Land Rebel. So it's you subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with enemy units whether within 8 inches of any friendly units with this ability. In addition, at the end of the combat phase, roll dice for each enemy unit within 8 inches of any friendly units with this ability, and a 4 up the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So not only are you making everything -1 to hit in a nice little kind of aura bubble 8 inches, which you can just pack in behind those flies, which makes them even harder to shift because a -1 to hit with a 5-up ward. And then also you're doing little kind of splash mortals as well, potentially. Really cool.
Yeah, on top of the disease mortals that you're going to be pumping out as well.
Yeah.
It's going to massive chip damage.
For sure. And anything else just put in there, it's a roar. You've got a monster there, you can roar. And just get rid of command abilities, which is cool. So yeah, let's move on. So we're now on to our first Seraphon, or one and only Seraphon list that we're going to review. And again, one of the most dominant factions here. We went for something slightly different from the norm. A lot of people are running the Starborn Croak Bomb, which has been very popular for some time, doing very well. Now also taking on the Kronspine and its jank as well, being able to rupture and feed it endless spells and keep basically Kronspine alive for the entire game, pin your entire army, and just do really horrendous things with, while you're also mortal wounding off the opponent's army and tabling them turn by turn. We've decided to go with something slightly different, so we went for a coalesced faction. So it's coalesced, so it's Kotal's Claw, so -1 to damage because it's coalesced. You'll get +1 to win in the charge for any Saurus units as well. And this is Raffle's list. This is Raffle Colban.
Yeah. He also went 4-1 at Tempest.
Awesome. It's like I've just picked up the ones that went 4-1. I'd love to see it. So 4-1 at Tempest. So again, hot off the heels of really good performance there, and taking something a wee bit different from the norm. But I really like it. Again, it's quite, in my head, it's a very kind of clean, compact list. It makes sense. I know what it's doing, and obviously he knows kind of what he's doing with it as well, which I really
Favourite
like.
thing about this, no incarnate.
Yes, so he's not teched into the incarnate jank. He has purely gone for he's still got a wee bit of jank. Let's not let him off the hook.
He's playing Seraphon, so he's not off the hook.
Well, he's running Seraphon. But he's also running Croak as well. So he's also running Lord Croak, obviously.
2 out of 3.
He's also running a Starseer and an Ashroth Bearer. So let's just get that out of the way. So that's the kind of really nice little Magic Dom combo that you're seeing in a lot of Starborn lists. But he's taking it coalesced now instead. But what you really like to see, he's got 2 6-man squads of Agrodon Lancers. And these things can slap when they go in. So you've actually got, like, a lot of the Starborn lists, they're very defensive in terms of like Castle, Scream of the Skinks, do the damage via magic, that the kind of jobs are good. This one, you can do some magic damage, and then you can also just go in and do combat damage as well, which is really cool. So he's got the 2 6s of Lancers, he's got the 20 Saurus Warriors, that's 40 wounds on a 4-up save with -1 damage, and they can also do a bit of work in combat as well, especially if you're getting the charge off because you get +1 to wound, which is really cool.
Big with that's where the Agrodon mechanics kind of come in. Because
when the
Agrodon's charging, with them having, I think it's like something like ridiculous, like 9 attacks each or something like that, 10 on the leader. You're going to be all out attacking or buffing them because they only hit on 4s, I think it is. But if you're able to get it up to be proccing on 4s on the spears, it's 3s on the clubs, so you'll be hitting on 3s and 2s.
Yep.
And then wounding on 2s on the charge. Agrodons are pumping. They are really good in combat. I just checked as well because the mounts are actually damaged 2 as well. So there's will be 3 attacks each, 2s and 2s.
Beautiful.
Rend 2 damage on the charge.
Not very nice.
And then if they are still in combat at the end of the combat phase, they will add an additional attack onto those mount attacks as well. So that stacks up to a maximum of 3.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Very cool. And in the end, just 5 Saurus Guard for good measure, obviously to babysit Croak and the other heroes as well. Talk about the heroes here, loads outs. Interesting this one here. He's went for Blizzard on the Starseer. I was actually kind of hunting through the list to see a wee bit of Hoarfrost, just in case like you're wanting to like buff up one of those units of Lancers before they charge on in. But I'm not seeing that anywhere. But again, I wonder, are you able to summon wizards as part of Seraphon, or is it only like kind of units these days? I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not 100%. I don't think you can summon in the wizards.
Okay, that's fair enough. Just in case there's a bit of tech there. Again, like the Nurgle you summon in, you can pick a lore, you can pick a spell and whatever. But that's fine. So we've got Mrs. Blizzard in there. So again, if something gets too close, bam, you can get a shot of them.
Just teleport it.
Yeah. Oh, Surely no teleporting this. This is Colt's Claw.
No, because it's coalesce, isn't it? So no teleporting.
So yeah, that's why I was
fancy and
surprised to see the
precise.
blizzard instead of the. I thought maybe because you're not got the teleport tech, you might just want to be casting Hoarfrost. But hey, like if you can get this off, if something gets too close, then yeah, it's great. You then got Ashlith Bearer, and here is obviously extending the range. He's also got a ward save and a bubble. He's also went for the command trait Vengeful Defender, which at the start of the hero phase, him and 2 Saurus units, wholly within 12 inches, can move. So the 2 Agrodon Lancers units can just be off-skate. So they've got a good bit of range there as well. He's also taken the Blade of Realities, which gives him +1 rend, +1 damage versus a hero. So that's cool. Makes him kind of choppy.
There you go. So Raf's confirmed Croak has the teleport spell for the start
there
here.
we
So you
go.
can still do the teleporting stance here, but he also mentioned that in terms of Hoarfrost, because Agrodons have 2 attack profiles, it's not actually worth it when one of them is already rend 2.
Fair dues. Fair enough. Yeah, I suppose so. Cool. And then we've got the Suffocating Gravetide, which we're seeing a lot of. That takes him up to 1990 points. 1 drops again. Loads of control there in terms of choice of turn on missions can be huge. So yeah, and again, something quite different. As we say, went 4-1 at Tempest. Really pleased for Raf. So good job, man. And yeah, hopefully do well this weekend as well.
Of all the Seraphon lists, this is the one I'd like to see go the farthest, I think. Just for the no incarnate pops. Just because I hate them. I hate them.
Rich, don't listen, Rich. It's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. Rich and Andy, they're here. They're sitting, just crying right now. Streams.
I'll
now.
play a small little violin.
my little violin. But yes, well done. So we'll move on. So we're going to go on to, this is one I'm super excited to talk about. So this is Mr. Mike Callahan. He is running Big Wah. Now,
Big Wah.
Love to see a bit of Big Wah. Now, I know we've already done an Auric list, but this is slightly different in that Big Wah, I think, could be one of the most dominant armies on the scene right now, in terms of its ability to just do 5 battle tactics, to just do its grand strat, and then it just needs to worry about playing the primary, killing things, which it can do, and then taking objectives for the primary stuff like that. It's got a great toolkit of things you can do within the list. And as I say, I think that this could be really, really good and should do very, very well. And I know Mike's been practicing this for a good while. He's also had Oryx and he's played Big Wah before. He's played Ironjaws loads, so he knows his war scrolls inside and out. But yeah, I think no pressure, Mike, but all the pressure. You should be podiuming it. I think this event with this list. I'm really liking what I see. So let's talk about it. So Big Wah, so for those of you who don't know, Big Wah makes Big Wah points. And as you get more and more points, your army becomes better and better and better. So you end up getting +1 to run, charge, hit, wound, cast a spell and unbind. And I think that's about it. So everything just gets... only if you spend the Big Wah.
You have to spend the Big Wah, which you're probably not going to do.
Never do. You just hold your cumulative benefits for the entirety of the game, because there's also a battle tactic tied up for you to just get 30,
just
30
auto
Big Wah
get it,
points.
don't you?
Just get 30 Big Wah points, which you could honestly get within turn 3, or just late game. You just get it as well. You don't need to do anything or interact with your opponent at all. It's such a good battle tactic. I love it. So yeah, really, really cool. Nathan's coming in with an absolute zinger. Oh, I love it. Big Wah, normally the noise that he makes during the game. That's good. Yes, Mike, well known for being quite an emotional player. I think quite an emotive player, and I do like the Mike stand and think look as well. He's got a great power stance for the stand and think of just.
Some good photos. There's some good photos of him.
For sure.
The photos of him after Karazai was nuked by Durthu, and just going off to his car with all his models back in is absolutely
Negatron.
So.
And I mean, obviously, I'm expecting big things here because Mike, basically this is his bouncing back tour, because he's straight off the heels of his kind of brush with amoebic dysentery in Amsterdam, where he almost shot himself to death. And I think just obviously a very big advert for no Scotsman to ever eat salad, ever, because apparently apparently that's what did it at Worlds.
Say being healthy is
Did it
good
at
for you, and
Worlds.
obviously it's not.
I mean, absolutely not. I mean, I say Scots, but I think Mike's Scottish. I'm not sure. You'll have to tell me. His accent's all over the place. I mean, you've got a more broad Scottish accent than Mike does. So, you'll have to kind of attempt to at least have to pipe up in chat to let me know. Anyway,
I'll shoot him.
So we shall move on with the list. So we're looking at Gobsprack again. Being looked at as a kind of an auto-include. We've done him already, don't need to talk about him anymore. We've then got a Wargog Prophet. Again, because you're Big Y, you can bring in all the best units from all the best sub-factions or factions, which is awesome. So this guy's obviously got the 4-up ward, he's got Hoarfrost, and if you get too close, he'll just stare you off the board, right? With his laser eyes, and he'll just get you. When he's not getting you, he can also just Hoarfrost stuff and send it in. You can also use this guy because his War Scroll spell is tremendous in this edition because you can add Primal Dice to it. So his War Scroll spell is pick a unit within 24 inches, so it's a huge range, roll a dice for every model in the unit, on a 6-up, do a mortal wound. But if you cast it on a 10 or more, it's a 4-up, does mortal wound. And it doesn't say unmodified, so you can just add Primal Dice to this and get it to the 10 plus, and then you're rolling 4-ups, do mortals into this unit, which is awesome.
Very good horde killer.
So good, such a good horde clearer. Love that. He's then got the Weird Knob Shaman. He's decided to go for the general in this boy. He's then went for Shaman of the Chilled Lands. I really like this. It means that he knows the entire lore of Frost. So he knows Hoarfrost, he also knows Blizzard, and then he also knows, what's the other one? Okay. Is it Rupture? That's the one? Yeah, cool. Not that he needs it, but whatever. And he also went for the great big green hand of Gorks, who's got teleport. So this is great because you can teleport a unit to go in outside 12 inches of a unit. They can then Mighty Destroyers in for a CP and then get the charge off. It's really super easy. It also stops redeploy shenanigans as well. But what I really like about this is because if you go second in the battle round, you can give one of your casters an additional cast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he could teleport himself, and then he could Blizzard as well. So he's got that in the bag as well. So watch out, folks. It's not just Seraphon and Legion of Night that's doing the teleport. Blizzard stuff, Mike could potentially do that here as well. So really, really cool. Really like this. He's also your general. So for your big wab grand strat, you want to get him into your opponent's deployed zone. So a wee late game teleport, ring, just straight over. Is another way to show that up as well, which is awesome. What I also really like about this is he's taking a Mega Boss with Destroyer, so that's the wee foot Mega Boss. He can only issue Mighty Destroyers twice, but usually that's enough to get you what you need. So you can move a unit out the road and then move your other unit up forward if you've screened, or if you teleport, you can then Mighty Destroyers himself, like forward kind of a thing. But he's a great little assassin because you can just teleport the Mega Boss. He again does the trick where he goes outside of 12 inches of a unit. He Mighty Destroyers 4 in, so he's got an 8-inch charge or a 7-inch charge with Big Wa if you have enough points. So we can kind of reliably get in, and then he can pop Destroyer, and even if you kill him first, he'll fight on death. It's so good.
So good.
This guy for 140 points, and this guy could put out, I think, is it 7 attacks? Usually 3s, Ren 1, and then 2 damage, but can obviously bump up to 5. If you put Hoarfrost on this guy first and manage to get his Rend to either 2 or 3, it's just nuts. And because he'll be 2s, thanks to Big Y as well. I love this guy. He can just go in and murder stuff, which is awesome. And then he's went for 2 War Chanters. Get him beat and fix him beat. The 2 correct beats, and these guys will be buffing the damage of other units as well. So full 6 hero suite, which is, you love to see it. He's then got 5 Ardboys, then a big block of 15 Ardboys. This is something I haven't seen before, and I'm very intrigued because usually I just see the 2 min squads of 5s and then
just min-max normally.
Yeah, and then maybe the brutes, because it means you can get more stuff. So he's actually foregoing, so what's that saving him? It's saving him 160 points. So it's almost 3 Gore Grunters. So what is he? He's 1990. So yeah, he's actually kind of foregoing 3 Gore Grunters here for 10 more Ardboys, because he could get that into exactly 2k. So I'll be very interested to hear kind of what goes down with these boys. But obviously it's 30 wounds. He can stick on an objective, whatever. You get a Hoarfrost on him as well. It's pretty cute. A lot of attacks coming out of these boys. 3 attacks base. Again, +1 hit and wound. No Rend, but you get Hoarfrost on them. Cool. Put the damage buffs on them.
Suddenly they're very dangerous.
Suddenly these guys can do some work. We've then got 10 brutes. Again, love it. You want to be buffing these boys up, teleporting them in. They've got the rule where if you're within 3 inches of them, if you're 1 wound model, you don't count towards objectives. Sorry, zombies. Sorry. So things like that they do really well. And then you've got 6 pigs, 3 pigs, which just slap, absolutely slap. And then we've gone for the Antorian Acolytes, a battle reg and a command entourage to get the additional artifact. So that's 1990. So he does have a champ at the bit at the Indomitable, which you really want, because if you're rocking 10 brutes, you don't want to lose any to Battle Shock, and you definitely don't want to lose any pigs to Battle Shock, neither. Or those boys, actually, those 15 hard boys. So I think that will matter. I'd be interested to see how many times Mike actually
Useful
gets
to
his
note then, Nathan commenting, the big 15 hard boys there benefit from the 4+ rally.
Yes,
totally so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Totally forgot about that. Yeah, love it. So really cool list. I think Mike should do very well with it, and I'd love to see this up in the top 3, podium, and if not, like basically like looking to take out this tournament. I think Mike's time to shine. His experiments with Karazai and with violent diarrhea are now over. It's time to take the glory, mate. Take the glory for the Big Wah, for Mork and Gork.
Because I don't know how long Big Wah's actually going to be around for much longer. With the new Iron Jaws models, which are gorgeous, by the way.
Lovely.
Big pig, and all these coming out. We can obviously expect big points changes, because not only is it new models, as we've seen, for those that did watch the Nova Open or have been paying attention, Iron Jaws are actually getting a Battle Tome supplement coming out. So could that spell the end of Big Wah with all the new changes that could be coming in this book? Potentially. Yeah. Obviously, certain things will have to be dropped if you are wanting to run it. So this might be the last iteration. Northern Invasion might actually be the next one after this tournament, but it actually depends on how soon or not this Battle Tome supplement drops. I do like this as well because it's free, which is very unlike Games Workshop. So it's exciting. I'm wondering if they're going to start doing this for some of the other armies as well that are a little bit falling behind.
Yeah.
Because Auric Warclans as a whole, until recently with these battle tactics changes as well, they had started to slip. So it is very interesting. I'm hoping to see how this goes going forward.
Yeah. No, very good. Great points. The models do look gorgeous. But on the upside, if Big Wah disappears, these models could come out and Iron Jaw Stomps could go up as well, which you'll love to see. Love to see some jaws. So cool. So yeah. So let's move on. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about another death list. This time it's Feck. So Feck, obviously, as we already said, went through a bit of a weird patch there, where insanely impressive, thanks to the new rules that was kind of given to them through an update. However, now we've kind of FAQ'd all that, and we've fixed it to the kind of best of their ability. But I think Feck's still very good. They've still got access to a lot of off-board summoning. And yeah, they've still got the ability to do well, I think. So we've got Mr. James Cross, who I think purely runs Flesh Eater Courts. I think purely runs Feck. From what I've seen,
never seen him run something else.
I don't think I've ever seen him. He's also got a really nice converted army as well, because he's got whole different. He's got like a Maw Crusher. He's got like a cabbage conversion for his big Ghoul Cannon Zombie Dragon or Terrorgeist or whatever. So yeah, really cool to see. So I'd be interested to see like what he's done to the list, or because I know he's got things like Crypt Horrors. I don't know if he'd already converted them or whatever, but it'd be really cool to see. So he's gone for Hollowmorn. And it's been so long since I played Feck, Kyle. We're going to have to look this up. So what the hell does Hollowmorn do? I know that it buffs your horrors.
Yeah, so you can reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons made by courtier units and knight units on the same turn in which they make a charge roll.
Sweet. Okay.
And they have a unique command ability as well. In the start of your hero phase, you pick one friendly Hollowmorn unit that's wholly within 9 inches of a Hollowmorn hero, or 18 inches of your general, and add 1 to run and charge until your next hero phase. And in addition, it can still run and charge. So you're getting run and charge, and then on the turn you do charge, you're re-rolling your wound rolls of 1.
Very cool. Oh, I like that. Okay, I like that. So yeah, so reroll wound rolls for your courtier and your knights units to make a charge. So those horrors go in and are reroll ones to wound, and so are all your courtier units as well, which I think is every one of your heroes. I think they all count as courtiers, potentially. So I know he's got 2 Cryptghast courtiers, and he's got Archregent and Ghoul King and yeah, he's got two Aborted Archregents as well, which you're also seeing quite a lot now. The double Archregent, which is really cool. Really nice model, and really kind of good kind of backbone of the army, because it's double caster, and yeah, it can heal quite profusely as well, which is really good to keep them around also. So yes, we've got Hollowmorn, we've got Spellcasting Savant. So this is something that I think there was a question that was asked by Rich in the chat before the stream, and he was asking what's the most common grand strat you're seeing across most of the lists, and I will admit it's probably either Spellcasting Savant or Overshadow. Seems to be, I mean, other than book grand strats, because obviously if you've got lots of tomes that have got a really strong book grand strat, but in terms of the GHB ones, that looks to be like the most of the ones that are coming up. So that's keep your chosen general wizard alive. So yeah, so he's got a general abhorrent archregent. He's got Grave Robber as the command trait. This is such an old book that this is the one that's
it's
actually
mandatory,
faction locked. Yeah, which is kind of cool.
So he gets +1 attacks and damage whilst he's within 3 of enemy heroes of artifacts of power. So it's a little bit specific, but +1 attack, +1 damage. That is pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's got a lot of attacks.
It's okay.
He's got a lot of attacks.
Because it does stack up.
Yeah.
Which clips through to the Aberrant Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon, which is forced to take the Corpse Fane Gauntlets.
Yeah, not
which
ideal.
is not ideal, but at the end of the charge, on a 2-up, 1 enemy unit takes D3 mortal wounds. Combo with a stomp or a roar. Even if you're not stomping, you've got stomp just from the artifact, and then you can roar something as well.
Yeah, for sure. So cool. I do remember the Hollowmorn. This used to be the one where you would get Smashbat. You could get a Vargulf Courtier that could go in and do heinous amounts of damage in this list, and piling in twice again with Feeding Frenzy. So it's kind of all coming back to me now, which is quite cool. So he's got 2 lores on there, because I believe he's taken additional enhancement of spell enhancement on there. So he's got Spectral Host, which is the run in charge one. If you roll high enough, you can make D3 units run in charge, and then he's got Hoarfrost. So you get a lot of units running in charge in here, because you've got the CP for running in charge, plus you've got the spell, which is cute. And then Hoarfrost obviously to buff up your units. He's then got another Archregent with Levitate, making things go fly is very good, gets them into places they couldn't normally. He's also kind of doubled up on Hoarfrost as well. And he's got a Ghoul King with Deranged Transformation, which I believe is the one that gives you extra movement based on your wounds characteristic. Is that right?
Yeah, pick a friendly unit, wholly within 24 of the cast of visible. You add that unit's wounds characteristic to its movement characteristic.
Sweet.
So Curtis was actually saying there in the chat, you pick horrors, you cast Deranged Transformation on them, you throw Hoarfrost on them with Ferocious Hunger. And then you command to run and charge with that as well. So you're coming in, you're getting all the buffs are going on the ghouls and the horrors, and they're absolutely shredding whatever they're getting into, because they're running, they're charging, they're getting +1, and then they're re-rolling the wounds in as well with Hoarfrost for the Ren 3.
Sweet. Love to see it. Very cool. And then we've got the Blizzard on him, because why wouldn't you take a guy with Blizzard? Awesome. And then the Ghoul King and Zombie Dragon, I guess he's there as a big kind of, again, force multiplier. He's got this the ability or the spell to be able to put out that aura of +1 to wound. And when you're +1 to wound, re-rolling ones to wound, that's pretty awesome. He's went for Razor Clawed, which gives him, I believe it's extra rend on the claw attacks and the mount attacks, which is good. And then he's got Blood Feast from the Lord of Madness, which I think is a healing spell. You do mortal wounds and then you heal back. Correct me if I'm wrong.
An enemy unit takes D3 mortal wounds, and for each mortal wound, you can heal 1.
Cool.
And you can return 1 slain model if you have a wounds characteristic of 1. And if it's cast on a 10 or more, they take D6 mortal wounds.
Ooh, I like that. Which obviously you can do primal dice too, because unless it doesn't say modified,
it does not say unmodified.
Woo! And then we've got Flaming Weapon on there again to get extra damage. This thing can potentially slap. as well, which is awesome. And then he's got the 2 of the Cryptghast Courtiers, which are just there for resing guys back. So they can res knights back, and they can also res your little your serfs back as well, which is awesome. Then for battling, we've got a big old block of 30 Crypt Ghouls, we've got 10 Crypt Ghouls, we've got 6 Crypt Horrors, and then we've got 20 Royal Beast Flayers. And these guys have seemed to be the juice. These are the new Warcry war bands, and a lot of the jank was basically involving them because they are serfs. They have the serf keyword. When people were running it, and the sub-faction that allowed you to bring back units on a 4-up, you bring back serfs, so you could bring these guys back. They hit way harder than ghouls. Well, depending on what buffs you get off of the ghouls, because you could get additional attacks, you could get Hoarfrost off as well, and you could get them pile in and attack twice. So ghouls can absolutely slap. The Beast Flayers can also do so as well. But I believe so they fixed it so you can't res them back, but I think you can still summon them. So see when you spend, well, you don't even need to spend the CP to summon, because you just stand next to your Carnal Throne and you get it for free as long as someone's inside it. But I'm pretty sure the Archregent, when he's bringing on 20 serfs, he can bring on 20 Beast Flayers. The Ghoul King can also bring on 10, and then the next turn the Archregent can bring on another 20, another 10. So you're talking that's about 60 Beast Flayers you can bring on. You're not raising them back, but you can do that. But then you could also, so you're not bringing the entire unit back when they die, but you can still use the Cryptghast Courtiers to then res the models on a model by model basis. Every 2-up they roll 60, every 2-up brings a model back into a unit. So just loads of bodies, loads of board control. So really, really cool. And as we say, James...
Curtis pointed out there, you can't summon them anymore. That was a key part of the nerf.
Oh no. Oh well, that's fine. But you can still summon the wee ghoulies. That's fine. Cool. No worries. So sorry, my apologies, guys. I thought it was just the bringing back that got nerfed, but it's the summoning as well. Fair enough. So the fact that you start with 20 Beast Flayers on the board... it's insane to think that 20 Beast Flayers also could have just been 30 Crypt Ghouls as well for the points. And he's going to summon on another 60 ghouls as well. So it's going to be a lot of ghouls, a lot of board control here. So yeah, perfect. And that's us. So really like to see James do well here. He's ran Feck a lot. He knows what he's doing with them, and yeah, expect some good things. So cool to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go for it. Now, this man needs no introduction whatsoever. If he's not crushing your models, he's probably crushing your spirit at the table. It's Mr. Lee Martin, and he is running Slaanesh Pretenders. So
no surprise there.
Yeah, for sure. And as we were talking before the stream, it's an army that's doing really well. Like Slaanesh are doing pretty well. You see them finishing quite high in a lot of tournaments, but just not played a lot up here. As you say, like there's only one person bringing it, and you're the only other Slaanesh player I can think of. Probably John Bayliss.
John has Slaanesh as well, yeah.
Up north, like he I think could also be classed as a Slaanesh player, but just not a lot of other players. But yeah,
I think it's a similar vein to Sylvaneth. Mm-hmm. They are very good, but then they're quite technical. Even I forget to hand out my depravity half the time. Things like that. Lee's list is pretty interesting. It's a lot of cavalry. He is obviously playing Pretenders, which is the go-to because there's Slaanesh only has one sub-faction in this book, right? It is Pretenders. It's just so obnoxiously good. The ability for your general to just issue a second in command for free. It's permanent leadership of the Alpha from the old GHB. Selfish Desire is an auto grand strat. They are James Workshop is so scared still of, I don't know if you remember far back in Age of Sigmar 1 and early Age of Sigmar 2 with Slaanesh summoning, how ridiculous it was. That they've given us a grand strategy where you just don't summon. You just don't summon. You get it. It's that good. Yeah. And so it's automatically, what you do is the trick is to completing that grand strategy is you leave the rest of your shit all at home. You just don't bring it, and then you can't summon anything back in. And he's running an army which is pretty much all mortals. He's running, virtually all mortals other than his contorted epitome, which is his general, with probably the most heavily nerfed command trait of all time, which was whenever she issues a command to a friendly unit that's not herself, she gets until the end of the turn +1 rend and +1 damage to all of her weapons, which was incredibly nerfed right before the book came out because they realized, oh, if you're spending 15 command points a turn for free, you've suddenly got rend 18, damage 20 on it. So they kind of did bring that back down. I do really enjoy the epitome. Very, very undercosted. I think really for what she does, 210 points. Untargetable outside of 12. Only 5-up save. Doesn't matter because the only way to target her outside of 12 is going to be magic, which they deigned to give her a 2-up ward against mortal wounds. You buff her up. Now he's done something slightly different. He's given her Born of Damnation as the spell, which is you roll 6 dice, and for each 4 up you get a depravity point. Which is it's an interesting way to kind of start the board going up, especially if you're playing against a smart opponent who normally can afford to take the mortal wounds on the dice. I personally give mine Flaming Weapon, so it stacks on top, so you're getting damage 3 on the 9 attacks, rend 2 damage 3, which is pretty nice. I know previously Lee was actually running her with Blizzard, but I don't know how much success he was having with that because she innately re-rolls her casting rolls.
Yes.
So if you don't have a primal dice, you can re-roll it, or if you miscast, you're safe.
It's interesting as well because the with the reroll, you can't add primal dice to
add primal on top of it. No.
So just for everyone, I'm sure people know that, but it's just to be kind of clear on that as well. That can't do any further there. So yeah. Also interesting to see that there's no Phantasmagoria as well because I really like that spell.
So Phantasmagoria has not only been nerfed once but been nerfed twice. So Phantasmagoria, it's now only in your turn, and it's only on a 3-up. It's only on a 3-up. So it was nerfed twice, so it's not as popular anymore. I still run it on Glutos, just in case, but it's not. It's so popular. I actually forget he has it. So I'm too busy. Taking other bits and bobs with my own miss. I run it slightly different to Lee. Lee's very cavalry heavy in this. Previously he was running Hellstriders in Tempest, and he's now changed over here to Seekers. Seekers are very good, but he doesn't actually have what he was Lord of the Primal Frost or whatever it's called, because previously he was putting Hoarfrost on them. So you're buffing those mounts to being rend 3, which is big. Now he's not doing that here. He's just relying on the sheer numbers of Seekers. Seekers which get 3 attacks each, but they get +1 attack against things that have 3 or fewer wounds.
Wow.
And you can buff them. So if they are, so the epitome herself, her War Scroll spell is +1 to wound against D3 units that are within 24. So if you're getting that off, you're popping 3 all-out attacks for 1 CP. You're getting your Seekers going in, provided there are no debuffs. 2s and 2s, rend 2 1 damage. +1 attack against chaff. So you can really go in and chew up something, get your depravity bumped up so you've got that neg 1 to hit to go. And it's really, really interesting. Depravity, the buffs come up so easily. So for those unaware, the way that depravity works with Slanesh, if you're choosing not to summon, when you get 12 points, your army becomes -1 to hit. When you get 24 points, 6 is to hit and do a mortal wound, in addition to regular damage, only in combat. Make sure to check that. And when you get to 36, your army gets a 5-up ward, which you can get that round 2. Which suddenly your flimsy Slanesh army with 5 and 6-up saves across the board suddenly becomes a lot harder to shift when it's -1 to hit and a 5-up ward. You've got Nurgle for discount. So I do really like it. He could experience some issues with things like bravery. If the epitome dies, he's only got 1 leader.
I was going to say that's his only hero. Obviously general,
If the general dies, it's game over for this list because you're not going to be getting any CP whatsoever. Now, Pretenders does revolve around keeping your general alive anyway, but once you start to lose models and things like that with Slanesh, it falls off pretty quickly. But he does have 44 Blissbarb archers to keep the range. He's got a big threat range, 32 inches, because he can auto-run 3 units, and everything in this list except the epitome can run and charge or run and shoot. So huge threat range. Doesn't matter if you're backboarding. Lee is going to come up there and he's going to be right in your face. If you're go, if it looks like he might be having to take second, he can backboard and still make it
Yeah.
across there.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got complete domination of any side of sort of battle plan, really, which is really interesting to see. So I do like the list. I think it is interesting. Only one hero, when Slanesh does like to play hero hammer quite a lot. But I think he could potentially do well because he's got one unit. Was it one unit of reinforced slick blades?
Yeah.
And then 3 units of regular slick blades. He's also thrown some untamed beasts in there as well, just for the extra moves and things
Well, he's
like
got
that.
he's got 2 5 of slick blades and one 5 of bliss barbs, which is good for the reducing the armor
Poison,
saves. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you fail a save until the end of that turn, their save characteristic is reduced by 1.
Yep.
Which is big because it makes them rend. So you split the shots and get rend 3. And suddenly, you're chewing through even the toughest of heroes, really.
Yeah, for sure. No, awesome, cool, and obviously we hope he does well with it. And he's also got Indomitability's Grand Strat. Hope maybe potentially could save some of these Bliss Barb archers. He's obviously got a reinforced unit of Bliss Barbs, reinforced unit of Slick Blades. Bravery's not great.
No, they're bravery 6 on the Bliss Barbs, so they could potentially, if you get hit with something like Geminids or something like that, that's going to prevent you from being able to issue and receive those commands.
Yep.
You're going to get hit hard, I think.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. We have got basically just kind of about to start kind of wrapping up the show here. We do have some honourable mentions as well of other lists. So we've got 4 lists that we'll just take a very kind of brief looks at. They're also ones that I think we decided to pick because we just really like to look at the lists as well. So in terms of, it'll be 1 order, 1 death, 1 destruction, 1 chaos. So we're going to give a big shout out to Chris Archibald. So he's bringing Lumineth. This is a really cool thing because he's bringing Helon. And now Helon's something that was quite decimated in terms of normal double shot within 6 inches. Now it's just, I believe, +1 to hit and wound.
+1 to wound if you are within 12 inches, I think it is.
Okay, +1 to wound. Okay, not bad.
So it's not great, it's not terrible, but he's making it work because he's running so many wind charges.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Now you used to run the Techless Helon.
Techless Helon Castle.
I've unfortunately played you twice in 2 tournaments with it, which was great. So I am. I think I can speak for everybody when I say that I'm very glad it's dead. You seem to enjoy it though. It was quite fun.
I loved it.
Searing white light through that.
I just love making castles, man. So making castles, being oppressive, like you can kind of scalpel things off with sentinels and with Techless and the AoE stuff, and then when you get super close, you just start removing stuff. Obviously, that's now, as you said, completely dead now. No more double shot sentinels, so you're not really seeing them anymore. But I really like this. Just the number of wind charges. One of my big tricks that I love to do was you put speed of Hish in a unit of 5 wind charges, ram it in the opponent's lines, and just basically block it. You can put Ethereal on them as well, and you can also get the 5 upward from Techless from his spell. And actually, like stuff can sometimes bounce as well, and then they're just pinned in the deployment zone, and you just keep rinsing and repeating. And he's got a lot of control here, so I really wanted to kind of shout this one out. I think Techless has got some big stonks in this edition with the fact that you've got the 4-up magic ignore in an aura as well, with an aura of Selenar, and he can also, I think the AoE mortals is still on, and he's got spell portal. He's got rune of petrification for the AoE mortals. He's also got maelstrom to do more AoE mortals because he's ticking up the spells as well. So no, I just wanted to shout this list out because I thought something pretty cool. You don't really see Helon anymore, so hopefully he does well with it. In terms of destruction, I really wanted to shout out this is Ewan Hogg's list. So this is Gloomspite Gits. The reason I wanted to shout this one out is because it's essentially a Trogs list, but he's got it in King's Gits, which I really like, because it gives you a much more reliable chance of getting the units back from the Loon Shrine. This allows you to reroll the dice. Really cool. I also really like the fact that he's got 2 suicide madcap shamans that he's just going to teleport with Scragrot and try and get Blizzard off to just do 4d6 mortal wounds, and then you don't care if they die in return because it's only 70 points. You just don't care. You just have
so good.
You just have Scragrot at the back just launching these things forward and just going, right, can I get Blizzard off? cool. If I did, awesome. This thing's dead. If I didn't, it's fine. It's only a 70-point unit anyway. And then he's got Fellwater Trogs. He's got Rockgut Trogs. He's got some shooters. He's got some fanatics that can pop out. He's got Gobblepalooza for some more magic as well. So I really like this list. Other honourable mentions I want to say as well is there's 2 other Trog lists. There's Sean Ricketts and there's Lewis Mitchells as well. Lewis running double dank.
Love that. Very strong.
Those dank trogs, man, they just slap. And then Sean also running something quite similar as well. They've all gone for the dank hold trog bosses, the general with the glowy howset, and with chasing the moon. So this is a really good grand strat for them. Just have their general under the light the bad moon for 3 turns. You get it. So really good, and they're very difficult to kill. I think
trogs in general are quite sneakily good. Very, very strong. Stronger healing than Nurgle. I've come across that multiple times. I do think they will do very well. I've watched how much damage those double dank holds can do. It's very, very good. Obviously, as well as the dank hold trog boss as well with the 4-up ward. No, unless you're Lewis and you're rolling Liz dice constantly, which are constantly rolling you those 6s, you're probably going to end up at some point rolling the 1 and he's going to eat it. But I've actually really enjoyed what trog bosses are doing, and it looks like they're getting that new king coming out soon.
It looks
which,
awesome.
From what we can detect, might even have more healing, which is just what they needed. So I'm very excited to see exactly what they do. So all 3 of those lists, I'm going to kind of be watching those going forward, coming through Broken Realms, to be honest. Very excited to see how all of them do.
Can't wait to see Trog meta. We wanted to give a shout out to Frank Kelly. He's taking a Virkos Dynasty list, and also just it's not totally heavy on zombies here, but we've got 40 zombies, 30 skellies, 2 tens of direwolves. He's got some Graveguard which can slap. He's got Turgilius, which gives the ward. He's got some Vampire Lords as well. Got some Hoarfrost in there, Belladama. So we wanted to shout out because it's something different to the regular Soul Blight. There is also some Legion of Blood ones out there that I really like to look of. Some very smashy character looking lists. Adam Rawson's list springs to mind when I'm thinking about that. Like you're seeing like Neff and Manfred and stuff like that, and a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. So yeah, I just wanted to give a wee shout out here. Something a bit different. Hope he does well. And then the last one I want to do, this is my boy Martin Quinn. Played Martin at Tempest, really great guy. Had an awesome game. Came down to, I think it was 2 points in it at the end. And he's slightly changed his list from Tempest. He was running Disciples of Tzeentch, Guild of Summoners with a Cronspine, which I really liked because you can rupture the Cronspine, feed it your own endless spells, obviously, just like the Seraphon were doing. He's also got the Zangor Shaman with Cult Demagogue, so it can just force through Blizzard as well. Like, doesn't matter. You can't unbind it. He just takes 2 Destiny dice, makes sure there's a doubles, and it's just auto cast, can't be stopped, which I really, really like. That was awesome. He blizzarded off my Beggar Boss and Maw Crusher just like that. It's like, oh.
How many mortals was he doing in one shot?
Well, I don't know. I think it was about 20, 18, 20, maybe 6 up there. I mean, just took him off. Just took him off. But he's changed tact. He's decided to get rid of the Cronspine. I think he's also dropped a fair few heroes as well, because I remember him having Ogroid Thaumaturge and things like that as well. But it looks like from what he's dropped, he's been able to gain loads. So he's now got Kairos in the list, which he never had before. He's now got 10 Horrors, which he never had before. He's got 10 Zangor on foot that he never had before. And he's still got his 6-pack of Enlightened on disc as well, which absolutely slap. If you get Hoarfrost off on those boys as well, can't use command abilities in combat, so there's no other defense. Get them to Rend 3, they'll just rinse through whatever. So I just wanted to give him a wee shout out there. Had a really great game, and I really want to see this list do well. I think Tzeentch, again, probably an underrepresented faction, but I think can do very well in this meta as well. So really looking forward to that. Yeah. So that's us. That's list review done. We can tick that off the list. That was awesome. Thanks so much for everyone's input and everyone having like good chat in the chat box as well. What we're now going to do, since you've all been so patient and so kind and so good, we're now going to tell you the battle plans for the weekend. So I've got my phone loaded up here because I've got the list of battle plans ready to rock and roll.
Here as well.
Fantastic. So our first battle plan. So game 1 is Spring the Trap. Spring the Trap. So this is the one where we've got quite a tight deployment. So we've got this little box, the box of no fun. During deployment, you can also decide to pick up D3 units. That's your units, not the opponent's units. I know they're not badly worded that. D3 of your own units, and you can put them in reserve, and you can bring them out from turn 2 onwards. So fun little thing. And you've just got 3 objectives kind of straight down the middle, 1 centre, 2 in the kind of flanks, and it's a standard score 1, 2 more, or hold 1, 2 more, battle tactics, all that kind of stuff. So a nice one to kind of start off with. It's got a wee bit of mind games with, is my opponent going to put stuff in reserves or not? And you've got this really tight deployment as well, which can hamper some lists and some armies. But I quite like it as a game 1. So that's game number 1. So we've got Spring the Trap. Now game number 2, I believe.
Limited resources.
Limited resources. Let me
Love this battle.
Oh, it's right above it. Excuse me.
Page 30.
Page 13. Now this is the one that can be quite a bit of a head scratcher, right?
Yes. So if you aren't thinking too quickly, and you deploy on the objectives. Remember, when you deploy, if you start on an objective, you control that objective. Now, you can only control an objective in this battle plan for 2 rounds, after which it turns off, and you can no longer control it. But you can contest it, which is the main thing here. But you will no longer be able to control it. So don't be too eager when running your armies up the board and tagging all those objectives, because if you tag 3, 4, 5 objectives turn 1 and have complete board control, and you don't lose either of those objectives, you're suddenly going to find yourself far behind in points, because you can only contest objectives, and you'll need to start trying to deny your opponent anything. And you can get really caught out, I think, with this battle plan. I've seen a couple of players think, I've started on the board, but you've actually started your army on, 2 objectives, and therefore your 2 home objectives you've kind of got rid of. For some armies, it doesn't matter. Things like Big War, things like Slanesh, things like that are so fast they don't mind anyway. The way I tend to do it is I tend to ignore the 2 objectives in my home territory and move up to the middle, cap the 2, and then I can retreat back if I have to, or if I have tagged them, I'll just push further into my opponent's home territory. So I do like limited resources as a battle plan. It's one of there's I think 2 or 3 battle plans in this GHB that really make you kind of think more tactically, other than what's the twist, 1, 2, hold more. This is kind of, the twist is very prevalent in this battle plan.
For sure.
Because it can absolutely cost you the game.
Yeah, this can just run away from you if you're not thinking straight, not thinking clear. Just like, I accidentally told that model into that objective. That's now mine. I didn't mean that. Oh no, and then that's it. Like, it's gone to something like it. This can really mess with stuff. And also, if you don't actually have the speed to be able to, let's say, get all the way across to an objective you haven't controlled yet, or your opponent's able to kind of block it off and defend it. It's also quite cool here as well, is that you can't control the objectives, but you can still contest them. Yes. So you can still deny your opponent's ability to control that objective. So denying still kind of comes in here. So yeah, I like this one for round 2. So for game 2, sorry. And then the last game on day 1. So we've got game number 3. We have Every Step is Forward. This is an interesting one. I don't think I've actually played this one yet. So we've got a kind of a weird L-shaped, kind of a Tetris piece deployment here, and the kind of special rule for this one is if a unit makes a charge move until the end of that turn, you add 1 to the number of models that each model in that unit counts for the purposes of contesting objectives. If a unit retreats until the end of that turn, models in that unit cannot contest objectives. That's pretty huge, because a lot of the time in Sigmar you just want to retreat, and then you could retreat out, still hold an objective, and or take it back off your opponent, and you're not taking any damage. But for this one, can't do that tactic.
Can't do it 'cause you can't contest anymore. So especially because bait and trap, charge to retreat to, you can no longer have. No Nighthorn at Broken Realm, so it's not too big. But it would mean that Nighthorn with retreat and charge would have been absolutely scuppered. So armies that don't want to be retreating anyway, Khorne, Big War, Slanesh, things like that, things that want to be in your face constantly, want to be up there, they're gonna love this, because they tend to not have the bodies anyway to necessarily have the argument. So counting +1 for each model as they count on an objective is going to be big for them, and then not being able to contest it if you do pull out is going to be, it forces your opponent to maybe think, do I want to stay in combat with this? If I stay in combat, am I going to get wiped out? If I retreat, am I going to start falling behind on points? So it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I like this one. So that's your day one. So you've got Spring the Trap, limited resources, every step is forward. So let's talk about day two and the
my
first
favorite
of day
battle
two. Your favorite. Let's see if
Nexus
I can find it
Collapse.
here. Nexus Collapse. Oh, I've scrolled way off of the thing. It must be quite early on, actually. Nexus Collapse. There it is. There, yes. Page 24. So very cool. And this is the one where if you're behind on points, then from the turn kind of second round onwards, every round you can just bin up to 2 objectives. And kind of what I've seen with this one is the ability for, if you're able to control who goes first, you could potentially force your opponent to go first, kind of see what they score, and then you could just tailor it so that you score exactly 1 less than them, right?
Yes, absolutely. And obviously you don't have to get rid of 2 objectives, you can get rid of up to, but for each one that you do, you roll a dice for every enemy unit that's within 6 of that objective, and after 4 they take mortal wounds. So
Awesome.
nice little trick is that if you score 1 less, destroy the objectives in your opponent's home territory, and suddenly they've just took a huge bunch of mortal wounds on their castle or whatever's going on, which is really nice.
Splash mortals, you love to see it. And then you could just rinse repeat. You could go into battle round 2, you could make sure that you're even just 1 point behind on the score, and then you can burn another 2, do the same thing again, and then it just kind of comes down to or maybe up to 2, and then it just comes down to like what's the kind of board state at that point. You could also if you're a very canny player, you could have just made sure that you full load on maybe 2 objectives, and then if you've burnt the other 4, then your opponent's just like, well, if you want to score primary, you have to come get me now. And then you could maybe have 1 or 2 turns of just scoring 5 over your opponent's 2. They'll then still be able to burn objectives, and then from then on it's just a battle tactics game. I played this one, I think it was Lenny Line. We played this one, all the objectives were gone by turn 3, and it was just I can keep doing tactics, and I've got my grand strat. Can you do that as well? And if not, then you just really just obviously drop off the
points. Worth noting as well, if you do tie, you have to roll off, and the winner of the roll off gets to choose what happens with that. So it's not just someone that's happening. It's also worth noting, so I have seen some people slip up on it. It's if you are behind in points in the game, not just the previous battle round. So it will continue through if you so it's not just, I scored 5 round 1, 4 round 2, I have 9, you have 10. It doesn't work just like that. It would have to count continually throughout the whole game.
Awesome. So that's Nexus Collapse. That's game 4, and then last but not least, this one you might think it's kind of quite a nice easy one, but actually maybe a wee bit of thinking involved as well. We've got Geomantic Pulse. So this is where we've got 4 objectives straight down the middle. We've got 1 objective marked A, 1 marked B. The start of the second battle round, I have to determine which player will take the first turn. The player taking the second turn, so who goes second in the second battle round, then picks the pulse, and that's where the big scoring comes from. So from turn 1, you can't score the pulse because the pulse isn't active yet. So kind of a strange kind of conditions here, because it's not the usual score, hold 1, 2 more. If you hold at least 1 objective, you get 1 victory point. If you control the pulse, you get 2, and you get 1 point for each adjacent objective to the pulse. So you can actually score like a maximum of 7 points a turn based on this. If you've got the pulse, you've got 2 adjacent, you hold at least 1, and then you get battle tactics. That's 7 points. So it's huge. You can actually ramp up the score here. You can also potentially set this up for, if you go second, you could make the pulse an objective that's maybe further away from you, knowing that it's going to come towards you in the later rounds, and then you could actually set up and be like, well, I know that I'm just going to completely dominate the pulse when it comes my way, kind of late game. So you can give your opponent it for maybe like 1 or 2 turns, and then you could actually just dominate on it in the later turns. So I've seen quite a bit of chat about this. I've been like, what's the best kind of way to go about doing it? So that's one kind of tactic there. And this is something that certain lists will do really well on. If you've got good primary control, then you can run away with the points here because of how many points you get for primary. So very cool. I like this one a lot. Excuse me. So that's us, guys. So we've got Spring the Trap, limited resources, every step is forward for day 1, and then Nexus Collapse and Geomantic Pulse for day 2. And those are your battle plans. So hope you all have fun. Obviously we'll be there watching you all play. We'll be commentating live as well, and I think it's a good mix of battle plans there to kind of test everybody out. And then really just to kind of finish off, Kyle, just very quickly, because I'm just very conscious of time, we've had some questions. So we've had some questions from the community.
Yes.
They've been asking us some stuff, so we can kind of rattle through these questions to kind of finish off. So it's been great having everyone kind of interacting. So we've had a question, top 2 most popular grad strats of the event. So as we've kind of spoke about this one already.
Spellcasting Savant and on Overshadow, which we've kind of touched upon a little bit earlier.
Looks like that. So this is, I think, from Rich as well. He's asked, faction that is a surprise threat. Surprise threat.
Surprise threat. So surprise to nobody. So I think Gits, which went massively down. I think Gits went so far down that they kind of slipped off a little bit. But Trogs are busted. Trogs are ridiculously good. I think they're very high. There's a couple of other things in there that I do like. I like Khorne, but Khorne's already high anyway. Khorne is they're doing pretty well. I think we've actually got a really healthy meta at the moment. Even though there's 1 or 2 armies that are we've only got 3 armies I think that are above the 45% win rate, and even then it's by a couple of percent. So I think really, I don't want to say Cruel Boys, but Cruel Boys. Yeah, Cool Boys haven't been historically doing very good, but we just saw them go 7-1, so maybe they might do it. Yeah, they might go 4-1, 5-0. So I would say Destruction holds a really good win rate here. I think I'm going to ignore Death as a whole, really, because Death are just doing too well in general, and they've only got 4 factions to pick from. So two of them doing really well, and one of them not even being here. It's not as much. But yeah, what about yourself?
I think for me, I'm going to pick a player and not a faction. But kind of the faction's kind of tied into this. I'm going to pick Sinky as my surprise threat, because I think that he is running. He's running Doc, only Doc player. But I think that their ability to do so well in this meta right now is awesome. Like they just get their 5 battle tactics and they get their grand strat. And he's got some really nice tech in the list that I've also seen do well at other tournaments as well. He's got a Tree Lord in there to basically stop units from piling in. He's a great pinning piece, which Reese protests to as well. Fight last as well, potentially, with the monstrous action as well. He's got Marathi, which is awesome. He's got the 15 fight snakes in there as well. So again, kind of a shout out to to another list. But I think that they could do really, really super well. And I mean, maybe not a surprise threat in terms of faction, because Doc are doing well historically. They've always been kind of doing well, but I've not really seen Sinky at a tournament recently. I know he's been super busy, but I know that he's ramping things up to go to Six Nations. So I'd love that to come out and just him to come out and do really well.
Yeah,
with
he was with us on Friday last week in Sterling up there. Actually played against Lewis's Trogs and had some good fun catching up and getting some practice. Awesome. So remember, last Broken Realms he played 1 game with his daughters in a practice, and still did really well at last Broken Realms, where he smashed me to smithereens. So I was actually forced to play the old book because the FAQ hadn't come out yet. So he did. I think he went 4-1. I think. I don't know. I think 3-2. I think he may have gone. He still went really well with only 1 practice game. So hopefully he's got a couple more in this time. He might even do a little bit better.
Awesome. So then we've got another question. Most spicy battle plan in play. We had a wee chat about this. Basically, you're reckoning Nexus Collapse or limited resources. Yeah,
I think these are the 2 where players can slip up the most easily. Some people might either get greedy on battle tactics and things like that, or greedy on trying to score primary. And as a result, completely mess up. Big one, I think, to watch massively is deployment. If you mess up deployment on either of these battle plans and you end up scoring 5 on Nexus, or if you end up capping 2 or 3 objectives on limited, you could suddenly see yourself cut off from scoring primary. Or working out the battle plan on Nexus itself. So I think those are the ones where you've got the most opportunity at least to slip up with.
Awesome. Yeah, agreed. We've got a question. What will it take to get the bottom meta armies performing better? Is it bad handling or is it bad rules? I guess kind of both. Like let's just take Kruleboyz for example, right? Historically, haven't done very well. Is that because they were terrible, or is it because they were an underplayed army, or maybe some of the better players weren't taking them and therefore they weren't then doing well in the stats? We've just seen them do super well at tournament, and everyone's kind of got quite a lot of buzz around them just now. So is it player skill cap? But then also they've just been given access via rules to battle tactics. So I think for me, what I would do to try and elevate some armies is access to battle tactics. And yeah, I think that's probably I'd say that's the biggest factor that makes an army competitive or not, is how many battle tactics can you reliably do in a game, and what's your grand strat.
Absolutely.
That's just that.
I think that we touched upon a little bit earlier on, that I enjoy getting that supplement there. If they start doing more things like that for armies that are falling behind, tweaking rules here and there, because even some factions like Nurgle can do really, really well. We saw Stu's taking that really good list, Phil did really well with them, but Nurgle are actually quite bottom in the meta rankings at the moment. Is it interest? Is interest just not there? Or is it the fact that the way that certain things are still clicked in certain books? Idoneth have potential, but they've got no ward, they don't have any mortal wound output. So I feel like lowering points doesn't always fix problems. It can do for individual war scrolls, but sometimes you're just lacking so much. Leviathan, bring it down to 400 points, 350 points. It still doesn't have a ward. It's still going to get just destroyed. It's not as good. So I feel like it can be absolutely a bit of both. There's not necessarily enough interest in the army to make Games Workshop necessarily want to push it maybe up to the top of the pile to focus on. But at the same time, it's not bad rules. It's just, especially with some of the books, it's early book syndrome. It tends to happen in every game. The earlier the book comes in, they're quite scared of, it's going to be the most balanced edition ever, blah, blah, blah. You get halfway through the edition and boom, the new Stormcast chamber comes out. And everything's suddenly all broken or whatever. Stormcast themselves slipping behind again now that they've been nerfed. Dragons were nerfed. JJ's no longer playing those busted Vexilers and things like that. So, I think towards the end of an edition like we're getting to now, you're starting to see some crazy, wacky things coming out, especially with the new Cities book. Cities true. Before, you never saw them, and now they've got a 4 rally inside the combat, because why not? So I feel like, towards the end of an edition, you kind of really see some books start to age, and interest does drop off as the newer books towards the end of the edition kind of slip off into that little broken area. So I think you can't look at necessarily a book from a single perspective. It's bad because of this, or it's bad because of this. There's several different things that you need to kind of address simultaneously in order to make a book better.
For sure, no, absolutely. Next question: if funding was out of the question, what would be your dream army currently? For me, I don't even think funding would be an issue here, because it's actually quite a cost-effective army. It would be Trogs. I'd go Trogs. I would love a Trogs army.
Well, you've got that new box coming out, which is going to look to be really good. So that's probably.
I think I'm eyeing up that. Yeah, that's your start. That'll be a good start. What about yourself?
Well, I've just started one with the last Dawnbringer box, which is Nurgle. I'm working on a Nurgle null deployment list there, which is nice. Cool. It's going to be fun. But realistically, I actually would probably say either, surprising a few folk here, Gargants. Because they don't actually know that I don't like Gargants, but I would like to paint them. But I'm not dropping £500 on Gargants at all.
Just do what Nathan does and just 3D print them. 3D print them is fine, yeah.
Or the second one, probably actually Cities. The new stuff looks amazing, but I have no doubt that buying everything that I would want to buy for them is going to throw me into the deep end. The models are gorgeous. Cool. I do like the new focus on just humans and things like that. I wish that there were an emphasis on mixed race units, but some Duardin in there, some elves and things, but we just don't have that, unfortunately. So I'd like to see Cities. I'd love Cities. But also, if I was to buy 12 steam tanks, it's not cheap.
Choo choo. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. That is a very cool list. Okay, so next question. As it currently stands, who do you think will be this year's master? Ooh, that's a big question. Do you think someone currently not in the running will sneak in and take it?
Well, Mike did just post the updated rankings today. Now, this chat that we normally go through, guys, has so much crap in it that you'll need to give me a second to get through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to see that there's a lot of different people in the runnings. Actually, it's actually quite tight towards the top of the master rankings boards. I don't know when he posted. Here you are. So at the moment, your top 16. I'll go from bottom to top.
Yeah.
16th place, you've got Mark Roberts. 15th, Sean Ricketts. 14th, Alistair Robertson. Then Alistair Maxwell. Then Nathan Watson. Then myself at position 11. Raffle Coburn at number 10. Josh Lowe, 9. Will Crookshanks, 8th. John Bayliss, 7th. Mr. 300 right there. 6th, you've got Phil. 5th, you've got yourself.
Ooh. 25.
4th, we've got Stu. 3rd is Adam Turner. 2nd is Reese. And barely even a point ahead of Reese, we have JJ. Now, so they are doing quite well, everyone quite within each other. Now, the gap between 3rd and 4th place is currently 17 points. But the gap between Adam and Reese is 11. The gap between JJ and Reese is 1.1.
Wow.
So it's very tight. I can see top 5. You're not playing, obviously, in Broken Realms, sadly. So top 4 could change up massively.
Of course,
because Stu has 25 points or so, 27 points behind JJ. So that's only a couple of games. It could, if someone does really, really well, they're gonna climb right back up there. It just depends, honestly, on the matchups. I think really. I think it is really tight this year. We could be looking to see JJ claim it. With how it is at the moment, Reese is not very far behind though. And if he absolutely steamrolls again and claims the title, we could be seeing King Treebeard.
Oh, you'd love to see it. We'd have to make him like a wooden kind of like tree branch crown. Oh, that'd be so cool. I think realistically, out of all the names you mentioned there, I could definitely see someone from there taking it. In terms of outside, there's always the potential of somebody coming in and sneaking it, or somebody kind of. I mean, it's still between now and January, so we've got Broken Realms, we've got Northern Invasion, somebody else chucked another tournament on, or maybe went to a tournament that's.
I'm running a one-dayer that's counting in October. So if there's a couple of other things coming. There is a event up in Elgin in November as well. So the one-dayer that I'm going to that as well. I'm not sure. I don't really think there's much on in December because of Christmas and the New Year. But even then, between 15th and 18th to 20th place, there's a handful, not even 10 points really in it.
Yeah.
So all of that lower slide could.
The thing is, there's like any tournament, there's drops. There's always drops. People that can't make it. So you will always invite the top 16, but then not everyone in the top 16 can come, and then that means that people that are below can then get invited kind of up and so on and so forth. So always a place where somebody could come out. But obviously you've got really big names in there. I could definitely see running up. I'm not going to make a prediction just yet. Not just yet.
It's too early to tell. There's still 2 GTs to go.
Yeah, and we've still got Battle Scrolls and all that kind of nonsense as well.
Battle Scroll coming soon as well.
New books and stuff like that. So yeah. But I think, realistically, I think somebody from that group will take it. I've also asked, will there be another new 2-day tournament runner in Scotland this year? So every 2-dayer looks like has been won by somebody totally different. So you've got Brewdog, it was Gear from Norway. Then Broken Realms was Reese. Onslaught was Ben Sava. Tempest was Josh. With his OBR. So I think it's going to be somebody totally new, somebody that's not won a 2-dayer before.
If someone can upset Reese's reigning title, then we could see somebody new. I think Adam Turner stands a good chance.
Yeah.
He's been doing very, very well consistently in the top 10. He's been doing really well. I've been liking what Adam's been doing with Ogres. With Ogres, he could be doing really, really well. We could see JJ claim it if he gets the right matchups. There's been 1 or 2 upsets that can affect Soul Blight on occasion, but I feel like if he's learned from his one loss that he got at Tempest or anything like that, he could really stand with a good chance as well.
No, sure.
Again, it's so so tight at the top that it could be, it'll come down to battle tactics,
Yeah.
and how many can you actually score if that comes to it. And I don't, yeah, we're running it through BCP, so I don't think strength of schedule is too strong actually with Broken Realms, just because it doesn't give us the technology, unfortunately.
We don't have the technology.
Yeah,
No, very
so
good.
but it is so tight at the top. But all it takes is one upset. All it takes is one upset, one bad game, something
Maybe
goes
one bad
wrong.
matchup, or just one roll of the dice and it's curtains. But yeah, no, yeah, you love it. You love it when it's super tight like that. I've also had Nathan Piper up in chat saying that he's 12th with only 3 scores. He's only got 3 tournaments in the bag. So obviously just want to flex on everyone that he's managed
Going
to accrue
off.
that number of points. Obviously, you hate to see it from the team captain. He should be better than that. But yeah, so that's cool. And I think I've got one last question. If Scotland is the sweatiest that it's ever been, sweatiest being, well, it could actually be because we're just about to have like a wee heat wave again, right? So it's going to get pretty sweaty. But I think it means in terms of competitiveness, it's ever been. So do we think Scotland is the most competitive it's ever been, or do you think it's just that books nowadays are just forcing you down the path of being meta? Rather than like giving more scope, because I do remember back in the day when you would maybe go to a tournament and you see a huge rainbow of sub factions and people taking loads of different ones and what have you. Now when you go, it just looks as if everyone is taking the good thing, or they're taking it's like, so why did you not take that thing? Well, I was worried about this matchup and this matchup, and if I want to go 5-0, then I need to keep those things in mind. And you're like, whoa. So it's not just I'm taking this because I like it and I like the rules and I want to have fun. I think there is a lot more of that, and I'm so for it. Like, I love the fact that you go to a tournament now, you look at the list and you go, Jesus, like those lists are nails.
This was scary.
Yeah, Tempest was.
I think a big part of it is Age of Sigmar is probably finding its feet. Past couple of years, Age of Sigmar is still relatively young. So I feel like a lot of that, people are just finding out what works, what doesn't work, and things like that. I don't think you're necessarily forced to go down a meta. There are a couple of lists that we've seen go into Broken Realms that are just wacky and fun and crazy and things like that.
Yeah,
I don't think you're forced into it. I think every book that has come out in 3rd edition has been solid. There are options in every book. Doesn't mean every book is going to be really competitive. Skaven and things like that have sadly not been too amazing. But every book has been solid in this edition. There's been things that you can do, even in the weaker books. I do think, though, with tournaments and things settling in properly, you're paying 50 quid, 60 quid to go to a 2-day tournament. You don't want to be taking. You don't want to go 0-5. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do want to win. You're not writing a list to lose. Do you know what I mean? So I don't. Is it the sweatiest it's ever been? Potentially, especially in the competitive scene. Is it the sweatiest I've ever seen in a game? Like, no. Yeah, but I come from an ITC background though with 40k, so trust me, I've seen what's going on there at the moment. If you want to go to a tournament where 18 of 20 players are just playing Eldari, so I think we've still got a really healthy meta.
Yeah.
Which is I think a good sign. Age of Sigmar, we're playing the same sub factions, but we've seen there that aside from 2 factions, we've got or 2 or 3, we've got a really healthy, diverged list of factions there in Broken Realms, and I think that's really kind of overarching. Is that Glasgow itself is a little bit of an outlier though with the amount of Seraphon players we have.
Yeah.
But I think overall we've got a really healthy, diverse meta. It doesn't matter how sweaty something is; it's how pin focused is that meta. Is there one thing that's absolutely dominating and everybody is taking, or is there actually a couple of options that people are actually able to give themselves? And I think that every book that's come out has had options that they can use.
Yeah. I think just in terms of gone are the days when you have a pack of top armies, middle armies, shit armies, right? I think that every single army in the game, every faction, has the ability to do well. I think that you've seen it with so many different factions and armies where someone has picked it up, they've super maybe tuned the list, they've got loads of reps in and they go to a tournament and do well with it. And I think that's a great way of showing like how healthy a kind of a scene or a meta is, because you've got that. And I know you've got the overlying like win rates and all that kind of stuff, very generalistic facts that are quite subjective and don't
It's not
actually
massive
tell the
as
full
well
story.
because it's popularity on the army as well.
Exactly.
So if you've got 100 people playing Bone Reapers, they're obviously going to have a skewed win rate compared to the so few people that play Bone Splitters that they're not even on the list.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Exactly.
But
Well, I was going to say, I don't think there's a generally terrible army in the game that can't do well, apart from Bone Splitters.
apart from Bone Splitters, but hey, they're going to go to Legends.
Go away,
guys.
Savage Orcs. Bye bye. You can go play Old World. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, and cool. So very good, mate. So I think that's all of our questions answered. That's all of our list. That's all of our stuff. We have chatted for almost 3 hours. It's just coming up for 2 hours.
Just shy, yeah.
2 hours, just shy. So I think we've done pretty well there. So huge thank you to yourself for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on. Loved hearing your thoughts. And then also huge thank you to everyone else for listening, for getting involved, for chatting. And yeah, laughing at everyone at ours expense as well. It's been fantastic. So a couple of things to say before we kind of sign off. So thank you to all of my patrons. So your names are there, you know who you are. Thank you so much for your support. It does genuinely mean the world. The fact that you give me your hard-earned cash in this economy to talk or play about toy soldiers is huge. I'm very grateful for that, guys, so thank you so much. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully showcasing some really good games this weekend at Broken Realms with Kyle. We'll be there the whole weekend. And hopefully I'll be nursing you and your hangover on the Saturday. Big shout out to Ross Shetty, excuse me, who is getting married on Friday.
Yes, fiance sadly would not allow the wedding to be moved for Warhammer.
So
unfortunately, it would have been a speedy divorce. Sadly,
so ungrateful. I know, but yeah, I think he did the right thing. But huge shout out to Ross, who's also one of my patrons, and yeah, just thanks so much for all the support, and then hope you have an amazing time, and all the boys that are going to the wedding, hope you guys have an amazing time, and I'll see you on Saturday. I'll have the fizzy paracetamol water like ready to go for you, mate, so don't you worry. We'll get you some Lucozade, we'll get you a bacon roll, and we'll get you ready as rain, right? It'll be
marry you next.
Play your cards right. So yep, so looking forward to that, and yeah, just huge thank you to everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and that's us about to sign off. So anything you'd like to say for the folks before we sign off there?
No, just again a big thank you guys to all of you guys tuning in. Those that managed to stay around to the end of the stream. It did run over quite longer than we thought it would end up going through today. But
Always
we just
does.
have so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So many good lists, and we are both really excited. We've been talking about a lot of things in the background, so we're very excited for this weekend.
Sure.
So thank you for tuning in.
Oh, and what I will say as well, a couple of things. You need to give a huge shout out to Adam Turner, actually, who I know we mentioned at the end, and to Steve at Common Ground Games. They very kindly offered their scenery and mats for the tournament. So thank you so much to those guys for doing that again. Just I love the community all helping each other out, so that's awesome. And I do also want to say that I've just had the go ahead there. Just had the update from Uncle Matt. The lists are all now live, so you can all go and browse through.
Not read them.
BCP. You can browse through BCP. You can maybe read the ones that we didn't talk about, which that gives you. It sounds like maybe a small list, but go and have a look, have fun, guys, and I hope that you don't lose too much sleep strategizing. You know what your battle plans are. The draw will be up later in the week, and yeah, just super looking forward to it. So without any further ado, it's good night from me.
Good night from me.
Awesome, and thanks so much for tuning in, guys. So we'll catch you later, and thank you for answering the call. We'll see you later on. Bye.
Bye.